Right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll be starting out the day at Mar-a-Lago for a press conference with President Trump. That begins at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll have a live picture from that press conference here momentarily. Also, in other news of the day, of course, Steve Bannon is a free man as of today. So that great news for the freedom movement, the conservative movement, and of course, the MAGA movement. Other developments as well. President Trump will have this press conference at Mar-a-Lago. We'll see what he has to address to the media there. And then he'll be on his way back up to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, where he'll be in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania for, I believe it's a 3 o'clock Eastern remarks there. And then on top of that, he'll go to another event, Allentown, Pennsylvania, for a rally. So 3 events for President Trump today. On top of that, later tonight, a Prayers for Our Nation show at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, or following our coverage of President Trump's event in Allentown. So a lot of programming here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Before we do go live to Mar-a-Lago, as soon as we get access, we will be going there and we'll show you that from Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's look at this Donald Trump. A lot of news coming up today. We've got 3 different events right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll be starting out there. I can read it to you at Mar-a-Lago. This is from Elon Musk press conference with President Trump. That begins on Truth Social. It says, Elon at the top says, "So true," with a laughing emoji face regarding this meme. So on the Republican platform side, it says, "Free enterprise, secure borders, honest elections, real journalism, ethical judiciary, civil rights, moral standards, personal liberty," versus the Democrat platform, which says right there 2 words, "Hate Trump." President Trump posted that this morning on Truth Social. Thought that was quite interesting. Wanted to highlight that today. How true is that right there? Especially, Elon saying so true, Donald Trump Jr., Donald Trump Sr., of course, saying that as well. I'm sure Donald Trump Jr. would repost it as well. Again, so a great meme there. All right, so President Trump, again, to speak at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We do have an interview with Silk that I'd like to play for you. And then possibly after that interview, one of her family members will be joining us via telephone to talk about why he is supporting President Trump. So here's that interview with Silk from just recently. Once again, here on RSBN. Silk, let's just talk about MSG yesterday. What are your reaction, your thoughts, your feelings about New York, New York?
Ooh, that was phenomenal. I mean, to see the New Yorkers come out and the way that they did for President Donald J. Trump, and to see President Donald J. Trump there on stage amongst all of those individuals, letting them know that, I have not forgotten about y'all. Y'all are part of America too. Shame on this political arena that wants you to think that Democrats own certain states, all right, certain people, and that Republicans, you can't put your hands on them. If you do, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But I love how President Trump is like, I am for all people. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, black, white, pinstripe, polka dot, or plaid. I am for all American citizens, and I dare to go into the places you say I can't go to. I dare to go into the places and see and speak to the people that you say I can't speak to. That's what we need in a leader like President Donald J. Trump, somebody that's going to go toe-to-toe against the status quo. They always love to talk about his rough edges, but we need President Trump's rough edges to cut through all of the stuff that's been going on in our country and in our political system. So seeing him there in New York at Madison Square Garden was phenomenal, amazing. You could just feel the energy just oozing through the TV. And I was sitting there and I was looking at my husband and I said, oh, I know them Democrat rats. They just running like roaches today. Just wonder how we going to get past this? Listen, these people, the Democrats have been lying to the people for a very, very long time. They want us to think that people are actually for their demonic ideology. And the truth is people are for truth. People are for God. people are for President Donald J. Trump.
Exactly. And to your point, when we talk about red states and blue states, there are people that love God and love President Trump in so-called blue states. It's not just cut and dry like that. And on top of that, I think the outreach is really happening, Silk, even to people that are more, moderate Democrats that have been brought up Democrat, but they're starting to think, you know what, I might have to vote for the same color of the shirt that you're wearing right there, red.
That's right. And it's for the conservatism. People are more conservative than they really truly believe. Okay. We've always been this particular way, conservative. Okay. But with this demonic ideology that has infiltrated our systems, infiltrated our culture, and infiltrated our country, people are starting to realize, wait, hold on, I'm not for that. But Pastor didn't stand in a pulpit and preach about that. He preached against that. She preached against that. We were taught differently for that. We were taught to love thy neighbor, not steal from our neighbors. So let me tell you something. People are really, truly enthused about what's going on in this country. And that's why it's imperative that you get out and you vote like you've never voted before. Vote for President Donald J. Trump, because he has a vision for all of us. And guess what? It includes Americans, not just these individuals like Kamala Harris. Her vision only includes illegal aliens, okay? But with President Donald J. Trump, his vision includes America and Americans. It includes all of us.
Exactly. And so can you talk to us about that, the fact that there is a so-called minority, right, in Harris, a female running for office back in the tolerance days and political correctness days, that would be a big deal. What are your thoughts about that, Silk?
Well, I view Kamala Harris, of course, as a DEI hire because she didn't earn anything. All right. She didn't earn one vote. And one thing about the Democrat, they love to stay stuck on the minority. But one thing I remember Diamond and Silk, my sister and I, saying that we're not the minority. We are part of the majority. The reason why the Democrats love to separate, especially people based off the color of their skin, is to keep you stuck in a smaller box. It's easier to control you when they have a particular label on you. So the minority means less than, okay? And what they did is label individuals as less than. So when you talk about Kamala Harris and she wants to, be within this minority group, okay, and they want to label her as this minority, that's just a whistle talk is what it is, okay? It's so that you can say, oh, this is relatable to you. But let me tell you all something. It's a whole new day out there in America. People have went from woke to being awake. They have awakened to saying that, listen, I'm part of the American dream. I don't have to be stuck on a label. I don't have to be stuck in this particular group of people and stuck in this black box. I can think outside of the box. I have my own mind. I can think for myself. I can speak for myself. I can see it for myself. So people have they're shaking off that label. They're shaking off that thing, that stigma that they tried to put on we the people. And they use Kamala as what you addressed her, like the minority. They use her to try to resonate with the people based off of how they feel. But people are waking up based off how reality would realistically reality look like to them. And realistically, people are starving in our country. People are suffering in our country. People are trying to make ends meet and can barely make ends meet. So people are looking at what's happened realistically. Listen, I got to be part of the American dream if I want the American dream. Because if you stay stuck in the color of your skin, if you stay stuck on a label, then that's where you will always be. Listen, all of us is part of the majority. All of us are American citizens, and all of us should have access to the American dream. And that's what President Donald J. Trump wants for all of us, all Americans. I don't care if you hate President Trump right now. I didn't tell you to like him. I didn't tell you to love him. I'm telling you to vote for him because he's the only man with a master plan to make America great again.
Silk with the sledgehammer to the mainstream media's talking points and the Democratic leadership's talking points, trying to separate God's people. And it's not going to happen. When God looks at us, he looks at us. He loves everybody, and he wants everyone to come to salvation. Let's be real, Silk. So
That's right.
that man, so you're preaching, Silk. You're preaching.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that you just described it. That's how President Donald J. Trump is. He's for all people. He's not for all of this doggone separation. He don't have a problem going to his enemy. Listen, let's try to talk this out. Let's try to work this out. Let's try to make this right. That's how President Donald J. Trump is. Unlike Kamala Harris, who's going to run. Just like a dog, just going to run away from the issue, just going to giggle about the issue. President Trump is about going there, sitting at the table. Honey, let's figure this thing out so we can work this out, because we want this to be good on both sides of the aisle. That's the man that I know in President Donald J. Trump, and that's why you got to get out and you got to vote for him.
Silk, thank you so much for joining us once again here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Where can everybody watch your show? Of course, right here at RSBN and a number of conservative outlets, correct?
Most definitely different networks, but my main focus right now is here at RSBN Network. You are Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is where you can watch the Diamond Silk Chit Chat live show right here on this network. And be sure to support this particular network right here. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. God bless.
We love you too, Silk. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll be talking to Silk's brother on the phone in just a minute. Let's take a live look back in Florida right there. You can see Mar-a-Lago as President Trump gets ready for a press conference there. We'll see him around 10 o'clock as it is about the bottom of the hour, about 9:30 Eastern time this morning. Again, if you're just joining us, a lot of news today. Of course, Steve Bannon, a free man, coming out of the prison system, the jail there. So great to see that, of course. Another MAGA rock star that will be a voice for the country. As we see, we'll be hearing from President Trump shortly. And then we've got two more events in Pennsylvania today, one in Drexel Hill and another in Allentown. So we'll have all of that coverage live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, so that's about a half an hour away. Let's go to Silk's brother, Freeman Hardaway, who also, I believe, was a part of that music video that you guys have seen on the commercials here. Freeman joins us right now. Hello, Freeman.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm great, great. Can you talk to us about the music video, but also your support for President Trump, and also just how awesome Silk and, of course, your late sister, Diamond, I mean, what a legacy for her and your family.
Oh, yes. Yes, real quick, the video that we did it on the behalf of the American people. Let them see musically that we want to paint this picture that, we got to go out and vote, and here's the reason why. And we want to do it musically because sometimes people can receive music better sometimes than talking to them. So, we decided to go that route. Yes, and my sisters, they love Trump. I love Trump. We're big supporters. We just want to spread the message and get the message out as a family that we have to go and vote. We have to vote red. Remove every Democrat. So.
Exactly. And tell us your thoughts, Freeman, of why you are a staunch supporter of Donald Trump.
Yes, well, I support President Trump because he have one message that I really truly believe, and that message is he wants us to strive. He really is for the American people. I have seen him be railroaded by the Democrats. They come in with all this negative stuff, and he's continued to fight, and he's fighting not only for himself, but he's fighting for us. He's fighting for us, and it's very important that we have to support. We have to get out and vote. We need someone that's going to make a difference, and that's President Trump.
Exactly. And could you talk to us finally about your friends and your family in the sense of doing exactly that, the GOTV, the Get Out the Vote? Are you hearing from friends and family that, hey, you know what, this time around, this is no joke. We really have to get out and vote?
Yes, I have spoke to a lot of people, and they have changed their minds. They come up to me and say, hey, your music, your video have touched us, had us seeing things different. Kind of like you took the screen over our eyes, and we seeing what, something that's different, and we went out and we voting for Trump. We're telling other people to get out and vote for Trump. I think the American people is tired of what we have been going through for the past 4 years, and they want to change.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So if you're just joining us right now, this is Freeman Hardaway. This is the brother of Silk, who we just had that interview with. Sir, can you tell us where we could find some of your music and some of your credentials, where we can find that stuff?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can go out there to Won't Steal My Vote. Again, won'tstealmyvote.com. You can go to YouTube. You can go to the Mr. Cotton.com as well. And look at that video, purchase the video, enjoy the music. And we're going to continue, along with my beautiful sisters, Diamond, which you rest in peace, Silk, and our family. We're going to continue to keep spreading the word. So please go to won'tstealmyvote.com.
Awesome. Freeman, thank you for taking the time this morning. Tell Silk and the family we love them, and hello.
Thank you. Sure will.
Thank you.
God bless.
God bless you. Thank you. All right, so live there with Freeman Hardaway, and the reasons to get out there, of course, and vote. You hear there from Freeman. Also, we had another interview with Lee Smith, the best-selling author who just released a great book about President Trump and the ways that the left is trying to take down the whole republic. We can go to that interview shortly as we go to the Birch Gold Group first, and we can thank them and talk about them a little bit here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All you do is text Trump to 989898 for more information on Birch Gold Group. We're talking gold, silver, precious metals, a 401k, tax-sheltered IRA. All good information from a free info kit. All you do is text Trump to 989898. You can get this free Fight Silver coin as well. Great information there at Birch Gold Group, and you can get this coin by purchasing a product with Birch Gold Group. All right, let's look at our next segment here with Lee Smith. I'm going to the specifics of that interview, as we know that we talked about disinformation, the disinformation campaign, and being an informed voter or a disinformed voter. The difference is stark. It's definitely truth versus a lie, right? The difference between informed and disinformed. So we'll go to that interview here shortly. We know that, of course, President Trump will be speaking at 10 a.m. there at this press conference. The author, Lee Smith, wrote a book called Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. So if we have that interview ready to go, we can go to Lee Smith, a great author that is getting a lot of attention for this book. And here's that interview with the great Lee Smith. Smith joins us right now. Can you tell us the latest on your book? I mean, it seems like it's doing pretty well already.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy about it. The publisher's very happy about it. We're getting lots of good attention in the press and social media as well. And of course, it's very timely because I have stuff not just on the 2020 election, but also looking ahead, forecasting what is likely to happen after the 2024 election. And because a lot of research, a lot of news articles are showing what the Democrats are planning, and this may come as a surprise, but there's a lot of anticipation on the left of a Trump victory. And so, what are the different ways that they contest a Donald Trump presidency? What are the different ways that they, basically set fire to MAGA and destabilize the country? So. I don't mean to alarm people, but I think it's important that people understand what we're looking at here, because of course we've seen it going on for the last 8 years, what the left, what I call the Obama faction or the shadow network, basically a block of power, and Barack Obama is at the head of it. What they've done, that's what the book is about, what they've done. And in conclusion, I show what they're likely to do after the post-election scenario. So again, I think it's important for people to stay informed, not to, not to be depressed, not to be black-pilled, but to understand what we're looking at and what we're heading into, so people can be prepared.
Again, if you're just joining us, this is best-selling author Lee Smith, who wrote the book Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. Before we dive into that book again here a little bit, I want to get your reaction. Madison Square Garden, New York, New York. What was your reaction to that whole party there in the Big Apple?
Well, I mean, I was raised in New York. I lived in New York. When I was growing up there, I mean, Donald Trump was very famous. I mean, I kind of grew up with Donald Trump's voice ringing in my ears throughout my childhood and adolescence. So, I mean, I thought it was great bringing all these different things together, as Trump himself was talking about Madison Square Garden, the Knicks and the Rangers. And I was a Knicks and Rangers fan, and, you'd go to concerts at Madison Square Garden, and it had a real concert feel. They're playing, they're playing some rock classics, and then the former First Lady and likely future First Lady Melania Trump comes out there in that fantastic print dress. This is a real rock star event. So I thought it was very exciting, and all the people came in there, and all the people who didn't get into the garden, but all the people outside who were really thrilled. So of course, I don't think anyone expects, unfortunately, Donald Trump to win New York City. But of course, Donald Trump is going to get a lot of votes in the outer boroughs, Brooklyn, certainly Staten Island. I assume he's going to win Staten Island. Brooklyn will show up for Donald Trump. There'll be lots of votes in the Bronx and Queens as well. But Manhattan is unlikely to go to Donald J. Trump. But nonetheless, the enthusiasm, the love. So yeah, it's great. I mean, all around for me, not just someone who loves our great country, but as someone who loves New York City. This is really wonderful. I'm only sorry I wasn't able to attend.
And definitely President Trump wanting to make New York great again as well. Speaking of the leader of the free world, according to your Truth Social, it says they try and do the coup all the time. Donald Trump told you, I guess as part of your book here, whether it's the Russia hoax or impeachment number 1, number 2. I mean, it goes on here. And it said here as well, it's misinformation, disinformation, but they're all good at it. That from your book. Was that the president telling you that about the misinformation part?
Yeah. I had some great interviews with President Trump, which are in the book. And so he's talking about that. He's talking about how he was thrown off social media after the 2020 election, January 6, 2021, he was thrown off Twitter. He was thrown off Facebook. And so the Truth Social bit, this is Donald Trump's company. And so how Truth Social has really become his voice. What he was referring to there was he was referring to, again, what we've seen the last 8 years. And it started with Russiagate, right? So Russiagate is the template for all of the operations that have followed, whether it was the impeachments, whether it was January 6th, whether it was lawfare, whether it was the raid on Mar-a-Lago, whether it was the attempts on Donald Trump's life. And, that's how that's the cover of the book. Donald Trump at Butler, Pennsylvania, standing up, fight, his fist in the air. So I want to say, so while it's the 8 years of what they've put Donald Trump, this is, again, Obama's shadow network, what they put Donald Trump, his aides and supporters and the Republic through is terrible and devastating. It's a very optimistic book. Again, it has Donald Trump on the cover of the book standing and saying, fight. And I think that's, we're an optimistic people. We're an optimistic country. And that's how I see what's happening here. I mean, looking at the election, Madam, and I think so many people, I mean, you look at the people who have joined forces with Donald Trump, and they were out there last night at Madison Square Garden, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk, and the stuff they're talking about. I mean, it's just, you look across the bridge to the future, I guess is the way to put it, and there's just so much light. Right? Talking about American health, talking about American efficiency, talking about American innovation, American entrepreneurship. So I again, for all that we've been through the last 8 years, and for all the concerns that we still have, it's also a moment of just amazing optimism.
It is a big fork in the road coming up, and you talk a lot in the book as well about this great patriot Mike Benz as well, telling you about there's a whole of society campaign to re-engineer your country. Can you dive into that as well a little bit?
Right. Well, I'm sure lots of your viewers know Mike. I mean, he's been all over social media, and he's done fantastic work. He's testified for Congress. Gives lots of talks explaining really what he refers to as the censorship industrial complex. And so Mike really gives a lot of insight in this book. Really helps. I think will really help readers understand what's been going on and where the censorship campaign, where the censorship regime starts, and where it is right, and what we're looking at right now. And that's really Mike's focus on censorship. But there's, what he means by whole of society campaign is it's not just the federal government. It's also civil society, meaning these different NGOs. It comes from academia as well, different universities. It comes from the private sector too, whether we're talking about big tech, whether we're talking about Wall Street. So that's what the phrase whole of society refers to. And Mike is one of the people that I speak to in the book who, again, really sheds a lot of light on what's going on. And there are others too, in addition to President Trump, Dan Bongino, Devin Nunes, the great Julie Kelly, a friend and colleague whose work on January 6th has been so important. So there's a lot of really, Kash Patel, there's a lot of really terrific people in the book who are really helping, readers understand what we've been looking at and what we're living through.
When I hear J6, I think of peacefully and patriotically, sir. It's just, that's what President Trump said that day, as you know.
Right.
So when we look at, we were talking before the interview about informed decision making. We want to be informed as a people, right? Versus disinformed decision making. It seems like the people that are voting common sense are on the true information out there versus the left and all the disinformation that's going on.
Well, I mean, it certainly, we've been voting for our presidents from the beginning. So whichever way you vote, it's fine. I mean, if people are voting Kamala Harris, then God bless you, vote Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I think what we want to point out is, by all means, vote Kamala Harris, but make it an informed decision. If you're voting Kamala Harris because you think that Donald Trump is Hitler, someone's been lying to you. They've been lying to you. They're hurting you. They're taking your vote away from you. If you just say, I like the way that Kamala Harris talks. I feel, they talk about joy and I feel the joy. Okay, great. So I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. But when they get up there and they start talking about Donald Trump is Hitler, or Donald Trump is a racist, or Donald Trump is a fascist, these are things. Well, that's a lie. And you shouldn't be. We shouldn't be doing this. Political leaders should not be doing this to our electorate. And our electorate, maybe we have to get to a stage now where our electorate works a little harder, where they have to move away from the New York Times and the Washington Post. The New York Times ran this obscene one-page article yesterday, calling Trump a dictator and all of these. Really, it's just despicable what they're doing. So that is disinforming voters, because you're lying to voters. None of this is true. Right, people should be voting on what they understand to be true, and maybe again, our electorate's gonna have to work a little harder to get to the truth. Instead of turning on CNN, they'll turn on you, Matt, and they'll watch you and figure out and just get the truth. Yeah. Right, you don't have to tell them which way to vote. Just tell them the truth, give them the news, and let Americans decide on that basis.
Exactly. It's common sense information, too. We had a better economy, a closed border, more law and order during President Trump. So, yeah, it's reporting the facts as to your point. One more question before I let you go, Lee. Thank you so much for taking the time, sir.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. Speaking of fake news CNN, I watched finally the fake Tapper interview with J.D. Vance the other day. I'm not sure if you were able to watch the 17 or 18 minutes. Oh, man.
Oh, not all of it. Not all of it, but I've seen a lot of it, yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. Vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance, he is already a rock star, but watching that yesterday, or watching that video this morning, he really put Jake in his place. You saw Jake try and squirm with all the lies, and it just didn't work. And that's what we're coming up against. But the American people, to your point, are seeing that and waking up a bit.
Well, I mean, it's really unfortunate the role that CNN played in Russiagate. I mean, they're really at the origins of Russiagate, you know. So I can understand why Jake Tapper and other people there would like to obscure the very negative role that they've played. But those are the facts. And J.D. Vance was right that CNN lied to their viewers about Russiagate. They lied about Trump and collusion. And they kept bringing on guests to reinforce that lie, you know. And they knew from the very outset that they were part of look, this is the shameful thing, right? That they were part of an intelligence operation. So it's not just that the media got tricked and Jake Tapper and Carl Bernstein got fooled. They were part of an intelligence operation to frame Donald Trump as a Russian agent and to spy on Donald Trump. And that's a very shameful thing, right? Even for journalists, and we have to admit, Matt, we know lots of journalists, and maybe not us, but we know lots of journalists are shady figures, but that goes beyond being a shady figure. I mean, that's participating in an intelligence operation.
Exactly.
Very dirty.
Yep, exactly. So if anybody missed that CNN interview, J.D. Vance just putting fake Tapper, basically shutting them up in some great ways with truth versus lies. All right, so best-selling author Lee Smith, his book is awesome, Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. It's on sale right now, so go ahead and buy Lee's book. Lee, thank you so much, sir, for joining us on Right Side.
Yeah, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, sir. And I thought about that this morning, the informed electorate versus the disinformed electorate, right? So it's like, what information are we receiving out there? And a lot of us have realized a lot of lies from the mainstream media over the years. So that's why the birth of the conservative media has happened, is here, and is growing, which is awesome. President Trump to speak at 10 o'clock this morning, about 10 o'clock at Mar-a-Lago to the press there. We'll see what he has to say as we are exactly 1 week away from the election, 7 days from now. A lot of early voting out there, some people voting on day of, but it's quite the coverage that we're going to have here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you so much for tuning in as we get ready for President Trump in about 11 minutes. We'll see when he takes to that podium there in beautiful Mar-a-Lago. We'll have that entire speech live. And then later today, we'll also go to Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. President Trump has remarks there to the people in Pennsylvania. I believe that is a 3 o'clock start time for the remarks for President Trump there. And then at 6 p.m., he'll speak at a rally in Allentown, Pennsylvania, again, as we're 7 days away from the election. This coverage today exclusively brought to you by Birch Gold Group. All you do is text Trump to 989898 for more information on gold, silver, precious metals, tax-sheltered IRA, 401k, a great backup plan to our dollar, and in general, to have gold, silver, precious metals through that tax-sheltered IRA. Kind of a smart move, especially if you've got the few extra funds to be able to put it into Birch Gold Group. You'll get that free Fight Silver coin as well with a purchase with Birch Gold Group. Okay, so text Trump to 989898. All right, so good morning to you. For those of you just joining us right now, we're about 10 minutes from Mar-a-Lago's press conference with President Trump. I thought about this earlier today, and I'm going to ask you a question. I'll ask the question throughout the day in the various broadcasts, and then maybe in the chat you can let us know what you think the answer is to this question. What is the song President Trump came down the golden escalators to when he first took the stage at Trump Tower back in 2015? So what song was playing when he was coming down the escalator and when he took the stage in 2015? I'll ask it a little bit later. Do you win anything? No. But I just am curious to see if you guys know what the song is. Again, what is the song President Trump came down the golden escalators to when he first took the stage at Trump Tower in New York, New York? All right, so that is Palm Beach, Florida, as we are live awaiting President Trump, about 9 minutes away from the press conference there. Again, he'll be traveling from Florida to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for two events today. one in Drexel Hill, the other in Allentown, Pennsylvania. We know, of course, that this is quite the day for the swing state of Pennsylvania. 19 electoral votes up for grabs in the swing state of PA. And also, I just want to share with you a post from President Trump, not the one director, not the meme post. We'll go to that one with Elon Musk in just a second. But President Trump on Truth Social speaking about Pennsylvania saying, quote, "Wow, York County, Pennsylvania received thousands of potentially fraudulent voter registration forms and mail-in ballot applications from a third-party group. This is on top of Lancaster County being caught with 2,600 fake ballots and forms, all written by the same person. Really bad stuff. What is going on in Pennsylvania? Law enforcement must do their job immediately. Wow." End quote. That from President Trump on Truth Social. So if you'd like to check out that post there, you can. Of course, in York County and Lancaster County, a couple things that aren't great happening, but according to President Trump, they're happening by one person. So everybody's keeping an eye out, hopefully, for all things election, as we are 7 days away from that day, November 5th, Liberation Day, here in this country. President Trump just speaking about 7 minutes there. Let's go ahead and take another look at that Donald Trump post from earlier this morning. As you see there on your screen, the Republican platform on the left, the Democrat platform on the right. This is a post from Elon Musk on X that President Trump highlighted on Truth Social. It reads, the Republican platform on the left side, if you can't see it, says free enterprise, secure borders, honest elections, real journalism, ethical judiciary, civil rights, moral standards, personal liberty, versus what you see on the Democrat platform. It says they hate Trump. So quite accurate information from Elon Musk. And then, of course, President Trump retruthing that on the left side of your screen there and on Truth Social earlier this morning. So we know this all comes down to common sense leadership or communist leadership coming up at the fork in the road for our election. So that's what's on the ballot. And we'll be hearing from President Trump here in just a minute, as it is 9:54 a.m., a few minutes out until this press conference gets kick-started. Today is Rally Day in the state or in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Allentown will be that rally. Now, let me look here and see our RSBN hosts who will be there this morning, of course, and throughout the day in Pennsylvania. Will be quite great to see them as well with commentary in Pennsylvania. I'll look here. If you guys know specifically, obviously we've had so many of our great hosts and correspondents throughout the country. You saw Bobby McNeely and Ashley Brassfield just yesterday in Georgia. And then we have a cruise going all across the nation coming up in Pennsylvania as well. So RSBN's Matt Cain and RSBN's Nikki Stanzione will be live in Pennsylvania for today's Pennsylvania rally, and also some of the pre-program coverage there, but also with Drexel Hill. There's a remarks that's happening for President Trump at 3 o'clock in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, and then onward to Allentown for that 6 p.m. Speech there. So we'll have all of that here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All of this brought to you again by our exclusive sponsor for today's press conference broadcast is Birch Gold Group. You can get this free Fight Silver coin through a purchase with Birch Gold. All you do is text Trump to 989898 for more information. You'll get a free info kit on Birch Gold. Everything gold, silver, and precious metals. BRICS nations out there trying to work against the U.S. dollar, but we hope Maganomics comes back soon. Even if it does and when it does, having gold, silver, and precious metals, always a sweet backup plan to the financial situations out there. So text Trump to 989898. You can get that free info kit. They'll also give you a phone call after you look at some of the info kit there. They're very professional, great people there at Birch Gold Group. And if you're interested, go ahead, text Trump to 989898 for more information on Birch Gold. So we started out the show with an interview with Silk, and then we spoke to Silk's brother, Freeman Hardaway. two people that are supporting Donald Trump. The whole family is, of course, and they were saying that Freeman was telling me that his friends are saying that their minds have been changed and that they're voting for Donald Trump. So you see there, it says Trump will fix it. And that's obviously true. I mean, he did so many great things for our country in the first administration. And then we've seen how many things have been broken by Harris and Biden in this administration. So rightly said, Trump will fix it. This also makes me think of the great motto at the Madison Square Garden event the other day, dream big again. Dream big again was the theme in New York the other day. I remember Matt Cain also on Truth Social saying that the world's most famous arena is welcoming the world's most famous man. And we saw that coverage right here on Right Side. Of course, yesterday we had a lot of coverage in Georgia, one swing state to another today in Pennsylvania. So looking at some of the upcoming events as we get ready for that press conference, obviously as soon as President Trump takes that stage or that podium there, we'll go there live in its entirety right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, I wanted to ask that question once again as we see another vantage point there. Beautiful Mar-a-Lago. That is a beautiful building there, a beautiful estate where President Trump obviously resides. And we see a little bit of activity right now that could be some of the staff or security walking toward the podium right now. So we do see some activity there. Again, the question is, what was the song that was playing when President Trump was going down the golden escalators in Trump Tower in 2015? Do you know what the song is? If you do feel like you know, go ahead and send a chat message on the Rumble or YouTube out there. If you'd like, on at RSBN on Truth Social or at Matthew Alvarez, if you want to put in the song that you think or you know that was played that day, you may be surprised because it's a song that I haven't heard be played at any of the rallies in any of the time that I've been covering the rallies. So yeah, so if you know that song, go ahead and post that if you'd like. All right, so again, waiting for President Trump there, about a minute out to that press conference in Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. If you've ever been out there to Palm Beach, obviously gorgeous, right up against the ocean there, beautiful waters and beautiful weather in that part of the state, the free state of Florida. I believe it's 30 electoral votes at stake in Florida. We know that that is a state that votes red, but you know what? We think that there are other states that are so-called blue that are going to vote red this time around. I mean, there are a lot of Trump supporters in every state in the union, including in Hawaii. As I mentioned yesterday, I remember interviewing a pastor from Hawaii when they had to deal with that terrible tragedy, that wildfire in Lahaina. And he was saying he wished President Trump was in office. The response would have been better for that situation that happened out there. So all the way across the union, if you look at Washington State, you'd think, okay, Seattle, it's blue. Well, you know, Joe Kent is running for office there. He's Trump endorsed. What about Vermont? You know, Gerald Malloy, Trump endorsed running for Senate against Bernie Sanders. Who knows what could happen? I mean, we've seen some wild things happen. As you guys know, we've all lived through it together. And we see that you never know what state could go red when it comes to this coming up election in 7 days. On top of that, again, if you're just joining us, some other news out there, some great news. Steve Bannon is a free man as of this morning. There's a photo circulating online of him leaving jail, and I believe he was stationed in Connecticut. So again, being out there, a free man, great to see that for our movement. And as we move forward with, again, exactly 1 week until 1 week from today. Today is Tuesday, October 29th. The next time there's a Tuesday in our lives, it's going to be Election Day. So we're looking forward to it because we're hoping and praying and working hard out there. A lot of people early voting, a lot of people on board with registering to vote. I think this may be just a guess, the biggest voter turnout of all time for our country. Who knows? Do I have a source for that fact? I don't. Again, it's opinion, so I just want to decipher on that one. But you would think that in this kind of situation that we're facing in our country, that the voter turnout's going to be absolutely huge and unprecedented, which is great, right? Because we have that power and option as an American citizen to get out there and vote. So we know the divide and the fork in the road that's there. But what we hope to see is a nation that comes together as much as possible. We know that with the radical left leadership and those that are really radical left and are anti all of the things that we have grown accustomed to in this country, from God to the Constitution to the truth to common sense to President Trump, and the list goes on. But there are people out there that are Democrats and independents that have changed their way and said, I'm voting for President Trump. We've seen them that are well-known people. We've seen and interviewed people that aren't so well-known. I have personally interviewed some people that were Democrat and are now Republican. You've seen that from many of our awesome RSBN hosts here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, our correspondents, everybody that you guys have seen out there on the same page as a unit for freedom, for our Constitution, for the people's president, Donald J. Trump. And I remember posting something just saying, we the people stand with Donald Trump. And got a lot of love on that post because that's really what we've seen out there for DJT and for this country. As we are 3 minutes past the top of the hour, we are live right now. That is live pictures from Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. And we're looking forward to seeing President Trump take the podium there. And we'll hear what he has to say at this press conference. Again, if you're just joining us, this is a triple header on Right Side Broadcasting Network. President Trump will actually head to Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, and then Allentown, PA, for a rally tonight. So we'll have RSBN's Nikki Stanzione and Matt Cain bringing you that live coverage. We'll be going to them as soon as they have access and we get a live picture from them. We'll be going to them a little bit later in the day. We've been here on air straight since 9 a.m. If you missed it, I interviewed Silk earlier today talking about the country and the fork in the road coming up. And then also the best-selling author Lee Smith joined us just about 30 minutes ago talking about his great new book that's out there for the president when it comes to what's trying to take down the republic. So having a best-selling author that has contact with President Trump and Kash Patel and so many great people in the conservative movement writing a great book there. If you missed any of that interview, you can scrub back on that after this press conference with President Trump. And also, again, later today, we'll be going to another broadcast. So it's simple as clicking out of this link and clicking on to the next one as we go through today, which is, of course, Tuesday, October 29th. We're looking at live coverage right now at Mar-a-Lago as we await President Trump to take the podium there. Okay, so we know that the polls are, when it comes to Rasmussen, Polymarket, Interactive, we see a lot of leads by President Trump there. If you look at some of the other fake news polls, it shows President Trump leading in some of those, but shows Harris a lot closer and in some cases leading. But you know, you can easily type in some numbers if you need to, but I'm not saying that's what happened. But at the end of the day, we know that the majority of this country, through just common sense thinking, you would say that President Trump would have the lead, even if you just walked out and on the street, if you were a influencer or a YouTuber or somebody on Rumble and you were doing street interviews with people, which you've seen a lot of that happen on Rumble, on social media out there, on Truth Social, on X, where you have people that go out and talk to so many different people from all walks of life, whether that's on the beaches of California or New York City or Austin, Texas, or anywhere across the country. And you'll hear from people saying, no, man, I'm voting Trump. Like, that's the guy. Why would I go vote for Harris in this situation? Like, this is, our country's at stake, you know? I had more money under President Trump. I had more safety with President Trump. I had constitutional rights that weren't even being close to being touched by anyone. You know, so we see that out there. And we're just glad you're joining us right now here live at 10:06 a.m. It's been a lot of coverage, hasn't it? We've been here live with you at RSBN. Think about the other day at Madison Square Garden. How awesome was that? Seeing all of the awesome speakers there. I didn't know that Hulk Hogan was going to be one of the speakers, or Dr. Phil. I don't believe I saw that in the campaign email as to some of the guest speakers. That was a surprise, unless I missed it, because there was a lot of speakers on that list. Of course, Elon Musk spoke, Tucker Carlson, so many great people, really well-known people, some people not so well-known, but it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, it's about everyday Americans. It's about all of us, and that's what's awesome about that RNC first day and throughout the RNC over the summer in 2024. It was all about everyday Americans. And we had people that we might not have ever heard of on stage on a national spotlight, speaking about their personal situations under what Harris has provided and Biden. And what they've provided is everything, in my opinion, negative. What have they provided that's positive? Literally, if you look at it, what is positive versus negative of what they have provided for the country? And at the end of the day, it should be less government anyway, because it's a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And we have a government that is there for military, for taxing for roads and bridges, and safety in some ways, and sticking with the Constitution. That's what we're looking for. That's what we hired when we hired the great Donald Trump to be our leader. And that's who we wanted to hire in 2020. And that's who, again, we see coming up here in 2024 on until 2028, when we know, if you just reverse it to 2026, a couple years, that would be our country's 250th anniversary, 250 years. And we would have, under President Trump, a huge 250-year celebration in Iowa at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. That's going to be quite awesome to see that. I look forward to the golden age that could be what we see here coming up for our country starting January 20th, 2025. But as President Trump has said, even as president-elect, he'd start getting the ball rolling on many, many items out there, whether those are domestic policy issues, foreign policy, speaking with various global leaders, which he already does now. And that's what's interesting about President Trump. I don't think that the title of Commander-in-Chief has ever left the guy, because he's been acting like he's been the acting president over the past 4 years, in my opinion. It seems that way. I mean, when Valdosta, Georgia, and Asheville, North Carolina was press conferences there, or had press conferences, he was there because of Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton and that kind of thing. He was there serving as a public servant and being there to help the people of those storm-torn areas. And then maybe a few days later, you'd have some other people that would show up that are supposed to be the actual leaders of our country. But the whole thing on that side is fake anyway. So there you go. You have the real guy doing the real stuff for our country, even though he wasn't technically so-called elected. But we do know that, in my opinion, and in many of your opinions, he was the winner of the 2020 election. So moving on now to 2024, as we await President Trump there in Mar-a-Lago. You see the crowd waiting there. I believe that this is obviously a press conference, so we'll see what kind of questions the press has, or what kind of information President Trump wants to share with the American people, as we're, again, 7 days away from this huge election. And also, I spoke earlier with Lee Smith, the best-selling author. We talked about the disinformation campaign that's going on with the left-wing media, and then parlaying that with left-wing Democrat leadership. So they're obviously one and the same. And we see the proof in the pudding with 60 Minutes, and we see it. And as we see there, President Trump on his way right now. Just the last point is that ABC interview, the 3-on-1. So let's go live right now to Palm Beach, Florida. I'm Matthew Alvarez. President Donald Trump walking in at any minute right now. The screen is a little bit further away, a lot of red ties there and a little bit of shadowing, so I couldn't see if that was President Trump there. So again, we'll stay here until we do see the 45th and soon to be 47th president walking from his estate over to another portion of his estate there for this press conference. What I'm hoping I don't hear in this press conference are a bunch of left-leaning questions from the press. If you remember, he went to a Cuban restaurant in Las Vegas just a few days ago, and one of the questions was about some left-leaning talking point that is mired in lies and false narrative. And, President Trump's used to that, so he just kind of brushed it off and continued on to saying hello to the people there in Vegas. But we see the truth and common sense versus all of that disinformation that's out there. So to the point that I was making earlier was you want to obviously be an informed electorate instead of a disinformed electorate. And unfortunately, countless Americans have been disinformed because of CNN and MSNBC and ABC, CBS, NBC, and other networks out there, and news articles and online stuff out there, news aggregate sites. Let's be straight up about that. The Drudge Report, whatever happened to Drudge? That's awful. I can't believe he puts up all of these, or his team puts up all of these false stories on a constant basis to try and dupe the American people and those that look around the world on that site. And this is not just me talking about this. I remember Donald Trump Jr. on his podcast speaking about the Drudge Report and how it's fallen off the map. It's a terrible news aggregate site. It's awful. It's an F-, and it shouldn't be even looked at anymore by people, in my opinion. But it's just atrocious to see what he tries to put up there, or whether it's Matt or whether it's his team. I'm not afraid to say that. I work in conservative media. What else am I going to? I'm not going to cower and hide. If I'm out here talking about Donald Trump and talking about this truth, I'm not going to hide about it. I mean, and that's the same thing you'll hear from RSBN hosts all across the board. We are people that are doing this for the right reasons and in conservative media. And right now, not speaking from a script or a teleprompter. This is directly from what I believe as we await President Trump there. It's 10:14 a.m. Eastern Time in Palm Beach, Florida. And we'll be seeing the fact that we know that one of our sponsors is Birch Gold Group as well. All you have to do is text Trump to 989898 for more information on Birch Gold, a great exclusive sponsor for this broadcast, for this Mar-a-Lago broadcast. Thankful to the Birch Gold Group and thankful to our other sponsors for other broadcasts, and for you, the viewer, for us to even be able to pay for a camera operator to go to Mar-a-Lago and give you this live picture right now, and all of the great production crew here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So text Trump to 989898 for more information on Birch Gold, silver, and precious metals. You'll get a free info kit on the tax-sheltered IRA and 401k. Obviously a great idea when it comes to the U.S. dollar, when it comes to the fact that it fluctuates so much. Having a backup in gold, silver, and precious metals, you can get that right there by texting Trump to 989898. If you make a purchase with Birch Gold Group, you get that awesome free fight silver coin. On the front has, of course, President Trump's image of when he put his fist in the air on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. On the other side, his house, the White House, in Washington, D.C., on the other side of that coin. So you can get that through a purchase with Birch Gold Group. Speaking of gold, look at beautiful Mar-a-Lago, gorgeous estate there as we await President Trump to begin this press conference. For those of you that have been with us since 9 a.m. Eastern, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Silk and also Lee Smith. If you missed that, you can scrub back a little bit later, as we have a number of programming notes for you just today. And I think, a lot of times we talk about the next day and where he's going in the week to come, which is to the West Coast, is to the Southeast, is to the Northeast, everywhere really, and including Michigan and Wisconsin. Green Bay, which is going to be an awesome rally. But at the end of the day, we know that there are 3 events today, including the Mar-a-Lago press conference, then Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, then Allentown, PA for a rally. We'll have all of that coverage for you. RSBN's Matt Cain and Nikki Stanzione will be there live with all of that. And on top of that, tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, our last for this month, our Prayers for Our Nation show will air right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So pretty much after the Allentown event tonight, when President Trump's off the stage there and we wrap up our broadcast, whatever time that is, I believe if he's speaking, I think it's at 6 o'clock. Okay, so he's speaking at 6 Eastern, around 6, even if it's a little bit later, we might be able to start that Prayer for Our Nation show at 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight. It'll be on a different link, and it's our last show if you'd like to watch for the Prayers for Our Nation, at least our last show for this month. But we know that the election is around the corner, so next Tuesday, there is not going to be, I believe, a Prayer for Our Nation show, but instead, 7 days from now, we'll have a lot of election coverage right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, your election headquarters, as we will have people here in studio, myself and others. We'll be announcing the information shortly, but it's going to be quite the coverage here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as we watch and see how the polls, when they close and the votes come in. And wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to, for those of us that do enjoy a beverage, to have a sip of champagne that night, or maybe even some sparkling juice if you're not into drinking. No worries either way. The point is, we hope to have a lot of smiles on our face, and we hope that some way, somehow, this is going to work out for the good. As it says in Romans 8:28, all things work out for the good to those that love God and called according to his purpose. So we're looking forward to that. That's 7 days from now. We'll have live coverage right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and we'll have more details to come about where coverage will be and all of the details a little bit later. But as you see there, guys, we've got 2 vantage points, one at the doors where President Trump will most likely be walking in, and then, of course, at the podium there where he'll be taking to that podium here shortly. So it's 10:18 a.m. Eastern Time, 7:18 out there on the West Coast. For those of you that are watching on the West Coast, wow, that's quite early, but thank you so much for tuning in here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as we await President Trump here at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, so we know that I've been asking you about this question here. I think what I'm going to do is I'll give you the answer as I know that some of you probably have mentioned on chat the answer to this question. So what is the song President Trump came down the golden escalators to back in 2015 at Trump Tower, and then he took the stage? The song is, are you ready? Rockin' in the Free World from Neil Young. Neil Young's song, Rockin' in the Free World. When I heard that the other day, because I wanted to watch, sometimes I'm a news or political kind of nerd in some ways, and I like to watch various videos when it comes to politics and past debates or historic documentaries, whatever. But I heard that song. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know that song played when he was coming down the golden escalators when this whole thing got kick-started. So I saw that on a video. I don't recall exactly which video I was watching. You know how it is. You scroll through Rumble or YouTube and you get lost in the weeds sometimes. But so it's Neil Young, Rockin' in the Free World. So if you have an extra phone around right now while you're awaiting this coverage here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, maybe pull it up on Spotify or Apple Music and just recall that day, 2015, he and the future First Lady Melania Trump coming down the golden escalators in Trump Tower in the heart of Manhattan, and that song, Rockin' in the Free World, playing by Neil Young. So I know it's a bit early for that kind of song, but it's when I say early, I mean because it's such an upbeat song, but hey, why not? All right, Rockin' in the Free World. So that's what we're hoping for, the free world to continue on here in this country and for the globe, in various countries that love our country. You think about Viktor Orban or Jair Bolsonaro or many other leaders out there, whether it's Italy or the Netherlands or El Salvador or Argentina, countries around the globe that have leaders that are on Team Freedom. And we know that a lot of people are on Team Freedom across the globe. Who doesn't want to be free? I believe a lot of people do, especially whether it's China or North Korea or various countries around the world. All right, so back here stateside, Palm Beach, Florida, President Trump taking the podium there in a little bit. It's 10:21 a.m. Eastern Time. If you'd like to follow us on Right Side Broadcasting Network on X, it's at RSB Network, or you can go to at RSBN on Truth Social as well. If you'd like to follow, me, it's at Matthew Alvarez. And if you'd like to follow any of our hosts that you see on Right Side Broadcasting Network, our correspondents, you can find a lot of the Truth Social accounts on the RSBN account. So the RSBN account, the accounts that we're following, a number of our great hosts and correspondents that you've grown accustomed to seeing prior to President Trump's great speeches are on there as well. But on top of that, more importantly, watching we the people and hearing from all of you guys out there at various events, whether it's remarks or a press conference or it's prior to a Trump rally. Always nice to see the amount of people out there and interviewing so many great Americans across this land. And in New York the other day, people from all different backgrounds and different countries spoke with Bobby McNeely and Megan Kohler and Harrison Fields out there live. Great to see that. Of course, in New York, you'll have such a concentrated amount of people. You think about the population in just New York City, or let's just go with that one borough of Manhattan. You know, there are, I believe, 1, 2, or I think 2.5, maybe 3 million people just on that island, Manhattan there, let alone the 8 million or 9 million people that live in the actual 5 boroughs. But if you look at just that small geographical landmass, and then you go to LA and you have several million people there spread out over that urban sprawl there, it's just wild to see the amount of people that can just be in one specific area. And that's where it all happened the other day, of course, for Madison Square Garden. What a day that was with all of our live coverage that we had. If you remember the 4 boxes of 4 different vantage points, 4 of our cameras out there. Quite awesome to see that. All right, so 10:24 a.m., waiting for President Trump to take the podium there. We'll hear what he has to say regarding the press conference and what content or news may come out of this news conference this morning. And then we'll see if the press has any questions for him. And then we will then go from this press conference to our next broadcast, which will be from Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. I'll be getting information on the start time for that here shortly. And then tonight, President Trump speaking at 6 o'clock in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Nikki Stanzione and Matt Cain will be bringing you that live coverage with Right Side Broadcasting Network. So quite good coverage coming up here in Pennsylvania, as we know that is a huge swing state with 19 electoral votes at stake. Also, if you're just joining us right now, some other news story headlines out there. Of course, the great Steve Bannon is now free out of jail today. So great to see that. Also, we've heard from Peter Navarro, who spent some time as well out there speaking at various TPUSA events and also at MSG just the other day. So, so why don't we do this? We can possibly go to our Lee Smith interview, depending on the delay here. So what we can do is, if we do go to that interview with the best-selling author, Lee Smith, we can dip right in to the coverage with President Trump. Maybe what we can do is have a split screen and see that live podium there, and then go to Lee Smith's interview. And as soon as we see President Trump approach, we can go out of that interview and let's go right to President Trump. So, Director, if we can do that, please let me know. And if that's not something we want to do right now, that's no problem, as it is 10:26 a.m. Eastern Time, awaiting President Trump for this press conference that will start at any moment. We do know, again, and Director, if you could please repeat, I had the volume down on the IFB. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to best-selling author Lee Smith on his latest book. You'll hear about that book here in just a second. Again, we'll go right to Mar-a-Lago as soon as President Trump is approaching that podium. Let's go to that interview right now. Best-selling author Lee Smith joins us right now. Can you tell us the latest on your book? I mean, it seems like it's doing pretty well already.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy about it. The publisher's very happy about it. We're getting lots of good attention in the press and in social media as well. And of course, you know, it's very timely because I have stuff not just on the 2020 election, but also looking ahead, forecasting what is likely to happen after the 2024 election. And you know, because a lot of research, a lot of news articles are showing what the Democrats are planning, and this may come as a surprise, but there's a lot of anticipation on the left of a Trump victory. And so, what are the different ways that they contest a Donald Trump presidency? What are the different ways that they, you know, basically set fire to MAGA and destabilize the country? So. You know, I don't mean to alarm people, but I think it's important that people understand what we're looking at here, because of course we've seen it going on for the last 8 years, what the left, what I call the Obama faction or the shadow network, you know, basically a block of power, and Barack Obama's at the head of it, what they've done. That's what the book is about, what they've done. And in conclusion, I show what they're likely to do after the post-election scenario. So again, I think it's important for people to stay informed, not to, you know, not to be depressed, not to be black-pilled, but to understand what we're looking at and what we're heading into, so people can be prepared.
Again, if you're just joining us, this is best-selling author Lee Smith, who wrote the book Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. Before we dive into that book again here a little bit, I want to get your reaction. Madison Square Garden, New York, New York. What was your reaction to that whole party there in the Big Apple?
Well, I mean, you know, I was raised in New York. I lived in New York. You know, when I was growing up there, I mean, Donald Trump was very famous. I mean, I kind of grew up with Donald Trump's voice ringing in my ears throughout my childhood and adolescence. So, you know, I mean, I thought it was great bringing all these different things together, you know, as Trump himself was talking about Madison Square Garden, the Knicks and the Rangers. And I was a Knicks and Rangers fan, and, you know, you'd go to concerts at Madison Square Garden, and it had a real concert feel. You know, they're playing, you know, they're playing some rock classics, and then the First Lady, former First Lady, and likely future First Lady Melania Trump comes out there in that fantastic print dress. This is a real rock star event. So I thought it was very exciting, and all the people came in there, and all the people who didn't get into the garden, but all the people outside who were really thrilled. So of course, I don't think anyone expects, unfortunately, Donald Trump to win New York City. But of course, Donald Trump is going to get a lot of votes in the outer boroughs, Brooklyn, certainly Staten Island. I assume he's going to win Staten Island. You know, Brooklyn will show up for Donald Trump. There'll be lots of votes in the Bronx and Queens as well. But Manhattan is unlikely to go to Donald J. Trump. But nonetheless, the enthusiasm, the love. So yeah, it's great. I mean, all around for me, not just someone who loves our great country, but as someone who loves New York City. This is really wonderful. I'm only sorry I wasn't able to attend.
And definitely President Trump wanting to make New York great again as well. Speaking of the leader of the free world, according to your Truth Social, it says they try and do the coup all the time. Donald Trump told you, I guess as part of your book here, whether it's the Russia hoax or impeachment number 1, number 2. I mean, it goes on here. And it said here as well, you know, it's misinformation, disinformation, but they're all good at it. That from your book. Was that the president telling you that about the misinformation part?
Yeah. You know, I had some great interviews with President Trump, which are in the book. And so he's talking about that. He's talking about how he was thrown off social media after the 2020 after the 2020 election, January 6, 2021, he was thrown off Twitter. He was thrown off Facebook. And so the Truth Social bit, this is Donald Trump's company. And so how Truth Social has really become his voice. What he was referring to there was he was referring to, again, what we've seen the last 8 years. And it started with Russiagate, right? So Russiagate is the template for all of the operations that have followed, whether it was the impeachments, whether it was January 6th, whether it was lawfare, whether it was the raid on Mar-a-Lago, whether it was the attempts on Donald Trump's life. And, that's how that's the cover of the book. Donald Trump at Butler, Pennsylvania, standing up, fight, his fist in the air. So I want to say, so while it's the 8 years of what they've put Donald Trump, this is again Obama's shadow network, what they put Donald Trump, his aides and supporters and the Republic through is terrible and devastating. It's a very optimistic book. Again, it has Donald Trump on the cover of the book, standing and saying fight. And I think that's, we're an optimistic people, we're an optimistic country, and that's how I see what's happening here. I mean, looking at the election, Madam, and I think so many people, I mean, you look at the people who have joined forces with Donald Trump, and they were out there last night at Madison Square Garden, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Elon Musk, and the stuff they're talking about. I mean, it's just, you look across the bridge to the future, I guess is the way to put it, and there's just so much light. Right? Talking about American health, talking about American efficiency, talking about American innovation, American entrepreneurship. So I again, for all that we've been through the last 8 years and for all the concerns that we still have, it's also a moment of just amazing optimism.
It is a big fork in the road coming up. And you talk a lot in the book as well about this great patriot Mike Benz as well, telling you about there's a whole of society campaign to re-engineer your country. Can you dive into that as well a little bit?
Right. Well, I'm sure lots of your viewers know Mike. I mean, he's been all over social media, and he's done fantastic work. He's testified before Congress. Gives lots of talks explaining really what he refers to as the censorship industrial complex. And so Mike really gives a lot of insight in this book. Really helps. I think will really help readers understand what's been going on and where the censorship campaign, where the censorship regime starts, and where it is right, and what we're looking at right now. And that's really Mike's focus on censorship. But there's, what he means by whole of society campaign is it's not just the federal government. It's also civil society, meaning these different NGOs. It comes from academia as well, different universities. It comes from the private sector too, whether we're talking about big tech, whether we're talking about Wall Street. So that's what the phrase whole of society refers to. And Mike is one of the people that I speak to in the book who, again, really sheds a lot of light on what's going on. And there are others too, in addition to President Trump, Dan Bongino, Devin Nunes, the great Julie Kelly, a friend and colleague whose work on January 6th has been so important. So there's a lot of really, Kash Patel, there's a lot of really terrific people in the book who are really helping, readers understand what we've been looking at and what we're living through.
When I hear J6, I think of peacefully and patriotically, sir. It's just, that's what President Trump said that day, as you know.
Right.
So when we look at, we were talking before the interview about informed decision making. We want to be informed as a people, right? Versus disinformed decision making. It seems like the people that are voting common sense are on the true information out there versus the left and all the disinformation that's going on.
Well, I mean, it certainly, we've been voting for our presidents from the beginning. So whichever way you vote, it's fine. I mean, if people are voting Kamala Harris, then God bless you, vote Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I think what we want to point out is, by all means, vote Kamala Harris, but make it an informed decision. If you're voting Kamala Harris because you think that Donald Trump is Hitler, someone's been lying to you. They've been lying to you. They're hurting you. They're taking your vote away from you. If you just say, I like the way that Kamala Harris talks. I feel, they talk about joy and I feel the joy. Okay, great. So I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. But when they get up there and they start talking about Donald Trump is Hitler, or Donald Trump is a racist, or Donald Trump is a fascist, these different things, well, that's a lie. And you shouldn't be. We shouldn't be doing this. Political leaders should not be doing this to to our electorate. And our electorate, maybe we have to get to a stage now where our electorate works a little harder, where they have to move away from the New York Times and the Washington Post. The New York Times ran this obscene one-page article yesterday, calling Trump a dictator and all of these. Really, it's just despicable what they're doing. So that is disinforming voters, because you're lying to voters. None of this is true. Right, people should be voting on what they understand to be true, and maybe again, voters, our electorate's gonna have to work a little harder to get to the truth. Instead of turning on CNN, they'll turn on you, Matt, and they'll watch you and figure out and figure to just get the truth. Yeah. Right, you don't have to tell them which way to vote. Just tell them the truth, give them the news, and let Americans decide on that basis.
Exactly. It's common sense information, too. We had a better economy, a closed border, more law and order during President Trump. So, yeah, it's reporting the facts as to your point. One more question before I let you go, Lee. Thank you so much for taking the time, sir.
Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. Speaking of fake news, CNN, I watched finally the fake Tapper interview with J.D. Vance the other day. I'm not sure if you were able to watch the 17 or 18 minutes. Oh, man.
Oh, not all of it. Not all of it, but I've seen a lot of it, yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. Vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance, he is already a rock star, but watching that yesterday, or watching that video this morning, he really put Jake in his place. You saw Jake try and squirm with all the lies, and it just didn't work. And that's what we're coming up against. But the American people, to your point, are seeing that and waking up a bit.
Well, I mean, it's really unfortunate the role that CNN played in Russiagate. I mean, they're really at the origins of Russiagate, so I can understand why Jake Tapper and other people there would like to obscure the very negative role that they've played. But those are the facts. And J.D. Vance was right that CNN lied to their viewers about Russiagate. They lied about Trump and collusion. And they kept bringing on guests to reinforce that lie, and they knew from the very outset that they were part of look, this is the shameful thing, right? That they were part of an intelligence operation. So it's not just that the media got tricked and Jake Tapper and Carl Bernstein got fooled. They were part of an intelligence operation to frame Donald Trump as a Russian agent and to spy on Donald Trump. And that's a very shameful thing, right? Even for journalists, and we have to admit, Matt, we know lots of journalists, and maybe not us, but we know lots of journalists are shady figures, but that goes beyond being a shady figure. I mean, that's participating in an intelligence operation.
Exactly.
Very dirty.
Yep, exactly. So if anybody missed that CNN interview, J.D. Vance just putting fake Tapper, basically shutting them up in some great ways with truth versus lies. All right, so best-selling author Lee Smith, his book is awesome, Disappearing the President, Trump, Truth Social, and the Fight for the Republic. It's on sale right now, so go ahead and buy Lee's book. Lee, thank you so much, sir, for joining us on Right Side.
Yeah, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, sir. All right, welcome back to live coverage right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Always great to speak with someone that is super gifted in writing, especially in books, and then having the content match up with that. What a great 1-2, figuratively speaking, punch for Lee Smith out there. What a great book as well. You're looking live right now at Mar-a-Lago as we await President Trump to take the podium there. We are also looking forward to showing you all of the coverage today in Pennsylvania as well, in Drexel Hill, PA, in Allentown, Pennsylvania. President Trump to be speaking 3 times, at least on Right Side Broadcasting Network coverage today. We'll have all of his speeches right here and then this press conference as well. Again, it says Trump will fix it. Well, we're going to hear all about some of that today in this press conference, but also we've heard a lot of the speeches and a lot of the content and even the actions that have spoken even louder than all of the words through his first administration. We saw the proof in the pudding, and there'll be many more great things to come, as you guys know, and many of you are voting for. So let's go to Birch Gold Group one more time, this exclusive sponsor for our broadcasted coverage here out of Mar-a-Lago. Text Trump to 989898 for more information on Birch Gold. Silver, precious metals, tax-sheltered IRA, 401k, everything Birch Gold Group. You can get right there a free info kit by texting Trump to 989898. All right, let's do this. We'll go to an interview with Silk that we played at the top of the broadcast, if you're just joining us right now. And then we will be going right there to Mar-a-Lago. We'll keep that live picture up as you see in the background there, something just put right behind the podium. So as soon as President Trump takes to that podium, we'll be going there live for the entire press conference. We'll most likely dip out of the interview, especially if we even see him walking into that room there. Gorgeous Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's go to Silk right now from earlier this morning. Joins us once again here on RSBN. Silk, let's just talk about MSG yesterday. What are your reaction, your thoughts, your feelings about New York, New York?
Ooh, that was phenomenal. I mean, to see the New Yorkers come out and the way that they did for President Donald J. Trump, and to see President Donald J. Trump there on stage amongst all of those individuals, letting them know that, I have not forgotten about y'all. Y'all are part of America too. Shame on this political arena that wants you to think that Democrats own certain states, all right, certain people, and that Republicans, you can't put your hands on them. If you do, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But I love how President Trump is like, I am for all people. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, black, white, pinstripe, polka dot, or plaid. I am for all American citizens, and I dare to go into the places you say I can't go to. I dare to go into the places and see and speak to the people that you say I can't speak to. That's what we need in a leader like President Donald J. Trump, somebody that's going to go toe-to-toe against the status quo. They always love to talk about his rough edges, but we need President Trump's rough edges to cut through all of the stuff that's been going on in our country and in our political system. So seeing him there in New York at Madison Square Garden was phenomenal. Amazing. You could just feel the energy just oozing through the TV. And I was sitting there and I was looking at my husband and I said, oh, I know them Democrat rats. They just running like roaches today. Just wonder how we going to get past this? Listen, these people, the Democrats have been lying to the people for a very, very long time. They want us to think that people are actually for their demonic ideology. And the truth is people are for truth. People are for God. People are for President Donald J. Trump.
Exactly. And to your point, when we talk about red states and blue states, there are people that love God and love President Trump in so-called blue states. It's not just cut and dry like that. And on top of that, I think the outreach is really happening, Silk, even to people that are more, moderate Democrats that have been brought up Democrat, but they're starting to think, you know what, I might have to vote for the same color of the shirt that you're wearing right there, red.
That's right. And it's for the conservatism. People are more conservative than they really truly believe. OK, we've always been this particular way, conservative. OK, but with this demonic ideology that has infiltrated our systems, infiltrated our culture, and infiltrated our country, people are starting to realize, wait, hold on, I'm not for that. But Pastor didn't stand in a pulpit and preach about that. He preached against that. She preached against that. We were taught differently for that. We were taught to love thy neighbor, not steal from our neighbors. So let me tell you something. People are really, truly enthused about what's going on in this country. And that's why it's imperative that you get out and you vote like you've never voted before. Vote for President Donald J. Trump because he has a vision for all of us. And guess what? It includes Americans, not just these individuals like Kamala Harris. Her vision only includes illegal aliens, okay? But with President Donald J. Trump, his vision includes America and Americans. It includes all of us.
Exactly. And so can you talk to us about that, the fact that there is a so-called minority, right, in Harris, a female running for office back in the tolerance days and political correctness days, that would be a big deal. What are your thoughts about that, Silk?
Well, I view Kamala Harris, of course, as a DEI hire because she didn't earn anything. All right. She didn't earn one vote. And one thing about the Democrats, they love to stay stuck on the minority. But one thing I remember Diamond and Silk, my sister and I, saying that we're not the minority. We are part of the majority. The reason why the Democrats love to separate, especially people based off the color of their skin, is to keep you stuck in a smaller box. It's easier to control you when they have a particular label on you. So the minority means less than, okay? And what they did is label individuals as less than. So when you talk about Kamala Harris and she want to, be within this minority group, okay, and they want to label her as this minority, that's just a whistle talk is what it is, okay? It's so that you can say, oh, this is relatable to you. But let me tell you all something. It's a whole new day out there in America. People have went from woke to being awake. They have awakened to saying that, listen, I'm part of the American dream. I don't have to be stuck on a label. I don't have to be stuck in this particular group of people and stuck in this black box. I can think outside of the box. I have my own mind. I can think for myself. I can speak for myself. I can see it for myself. So people have really, they're shaking off that label. They're shaking off that thing, that stigma that they tried to put on we the people. And they use Kamala as what you like you addressed her, like the minority. They use her to try to resonate with the people based off of how they feel. But people are waking up based off how reality would realistically reality look like to them. And realistically, people are starving in our country. People are suffering in our country. People are trying to make ends meet and can barely make ends meet. So people are looking at what's happened realistically. Listen, I got to be part of the American dream if I want the American dream. Because if you stay stuck, in the color of your skin, if you stay stuck on a label, then that's where you will always be. Listen, all of us is part of the majority. All of us are American citizens, and all of us should have access to the American dream. And that's what President Donald J. Trump wants for all of us, all Americans. I don't care if you hate President Trump right now. I didn't tell you to like him. I didn't tell you to love him. I'm telling you to vote for him because he's the only man with a master plan to make America great again.
Silk with the sledgehammer to the mainstream media's talking points and the Democratic leadership's talking points, trying to separate God's people. And it's not going to happen. When God looks at us, he looks at us. He loves everybody, and he wants everyone to come to salvation. Let's be real, Silk. So
that's right.
You're preaching, Silk. You're preaching.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that you just described it. That's how President Donald J. Trump is. He's for all people. He's not for all of this doggone separation. He don't have a problem going to his enemy. Listen, let's try to talk this out. Let's try to work this out. Let's try to make this right. That's how President Donald J. Trump is. Unlike Kamala Harris, who's going to run. Just like a dog, just going to run away from the issue, just going to giggle about the issue. President Trump is about going there, sitting at the table. Honey, let's figure this thing out so we can work this out because we want this to be good on both sides of the aisle. That's the man that I know in President Donald J. Trump, and that's why you got to get out and you got to vote for him.
Silk, thank you so much for joining us once again here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Where can everybody watch your show? Of course, right here at RSBN and a number of conservative outlets, correct?
Most definitely different networks, but my main focus right now is here at RSBN Network. You are Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is where you can watch the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show right here on this network. And be sure to support this particular network right here. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. God bless.
We love you too, Silk. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
All right, so about 10 minutes to the top of the hour, you're watching live coverage on the right side of your screen. That is, of course, Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. President Trump to take the podium there. We'll be hearing more of the content, of course, and some news that may break from this news conference. But also, at the end of the day, President Trump speaking about how he is going to fix this broken country. It is fractured, it is hurting, and it needs a lot of repair. And if there was a doctor that I would want to fix this whole thing called America, It would be Donald Trump, definitely Donald Trump. And I know that many of you echo that statement, but you know what, at the end of the day, not about me, it's about we, the people, all of us together as we see President Trump 7 days from now, 1 week from today is Election Day. It's happening. My wife sometimes is funny. She goes, whenever it's a various thing in life, she goes, it's happening, it's happening. Well, it's happening. Right now, it's happening. It's 7 days away. President Trump and Harris on the ballot, and we see that a lot of people have early voted, have filled in that oval, and have already voted for President Trump. And a lot of times what we've been seeing on the left wing at some of these so-called mini rallies with Harris is straight lies. Even if say it was my last day on earth and I was a Democrat and I really liked Harris, and I would have to say, is she saying truth or is she lying on stage? And I don't know, I'm just going off the riff here, but if I were to say what the true answer was, I would have 30, 40, 50 more years to live. I would say Harris is lying. That's not true. Donald Trump is not that guy. The people are good people. I got disinformed, and now I've been brainwashed. You know, if you just jumped in on that context, you need to get the full context of what I'm talking about here. But at the end of the day, so many lies. I cannot believe the amount of lies coming out of the Harris camp on camera, on interviews, on stage, in various parts in the country, and people are buying into some of it. A lot of people are awakened in America because they know, you know what I think woke up a lot of people, even Democrats? How about when you go to the gas station and you had to spend so much more money under Biden and Harris? How about the southern border? How about the crime that we've seen? How about the illegal immigrants and the fentanyl? And how about the constitutional rights, you know, by certain Americans getting taken? How about the lawfare against President Trump? And the reason why I'm speaking so earnestly about President Trump is because it's not just about him. He's doing that. He's the one that's standing in the way. It's we the people. So if they're doing that to President Trump, they want to do that to we the people. And so that's why I think a lot of people have woken up, and hopefully any of the establishment people that maybe even in the voting electorate have woken up and said, you know what, this is real now. This isn't just about some dollars from a lobbyist. This is actually, my family needs to be safe. My family has to have more money. I have to have constitutional rights. I have to have freedom. And we want a southern border that's closed. And that's the person that we see that's running on all of these great 20 promises from the GOP platform is DJT. It's not Harris. Harris has a copy and paste platform from Biden. So we see what's going on there. We know that this fork in the road is very real. We want to laugh again. We want to enjoy TV shows again. We want to enjoy movies again. Speaking of movies, if you haven't seen Reagan yet, I've seen it 3 times. It's that good. How patriotic of a movie that is. How much of a roller coaster it is. But an awesome movie that will really encourage you as well. And how about other television? Obviously, Right Side Broadcasting Network with live streaming of all of the live events. We were highlighted in Tucker Carlson's Art of the Surge. That's great TV as well. President Trump is great TV regardless. He was an entertainer, obviously before that a real estate mogul, did great things for New York City, being from Queens. But then now in 2015, going down that golden escalator, if you caught the broadcast earlier and you maybe missed the answer, I was asking which song was being played when he came down the golden escalator with beautiful Melania Trump, the future First Lady in 2015. The song that was playing is Rockin' in the Free World from Neil Young. And again, if you can, just on this random Tuesday, 7 days before the election, why not play that song if you have an extra phone around with Spotify or Apple Music, and just play it and enjoy that song and try and have some joy, as we know we're in for it here with 7 days until this crucial election for our nation. We don't want to wind up like Brazil We know Jair Bolsonaro is the right leader for that country. The people wanted him, but it was taken from him. We don't want to end up like Venezuela. Do you remember in Venezuela, just over the past months, there were police forces, the officers were joining the protesters. They were taking off their uniforms and being with the people. How about just recently in the UK, there was a huge freedom event on the 26th. And if you say something just off, or if you do something wrong and the censorship didn't catch you, you get in trouble. This is literally what we're facing in 1 week from today. I'm not just saying that for drama. I really believe that on Tuesday, when we see these results, hopefully we see them that night. But literally, that's the direction of our country if Donald Trump is not sitting in the White House. I really hope and pray, and I know you guys do too, that this is going to work out for the good for our country with President Trump back at the White House. It's that serious. I'm saying it now, and then if for some reason, some terrible reason with the election or something, if it's not President Trump and things start happening, just like I was just saying, it's not because it's coming from me. I'm not some, brilliant whatever. Other people have said this. We are really facing communist type of ways in this country. So we're hoping and praying and working hard for a great outcome so our joy can come back in a way that is America first, that we can make comedy great again, make laughter great again, make family great again, make America great again, make safety and peace and harmony and freedom and our greediness of America great again. We're facing such a serious time, and I'm glad that most of us that are watching right now and that might watch on the replay later already know what we're up against. But we're hoping, praying, and working hard for the great outcome coming up as we are headed to the top of the hour, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, as we await President Trump, the most famous person on earth, as you guys know, there at Mar-a-Lago. And no matter the outcome, we know this, that God is with us, and I believe God is with President Trump, and to be courageous and fear not, for God is with you. We obviously are praying and working hard, doing everything we can legally for this win. But we thank God that we have an anchor in His Spirit as well. We are hoping for a great outcome with President Trump, of course, in 7 days from now as we approach the top of the hour, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you so much for live streaming in here on this coverage, whether you're watching on the RSBN app or online on our website, rsbnetwork.com. You may be watching on maybe X or Facebook, or also you may be watching on YouTube, and of course, the great free Rumble, rumble.com. We have a channel on there. Thanks for following us and watching as well. You see there, text RSBN to 801-801 if you'd like to donate to this network at all for this next 8 days and into the future of any kind of coverage. We're looking for, of course, any kind of funding when it comes to paying for all of what you guys have been watching. Everything from the Madison Square Garden rally to the October 5th Butler rally, or how about every rally that we've been to since day one, 2015. Joe Seals and the team creating this awesome network, grassroots from we the people here in the southeastern part of the United States. And then all of the people that work behind the scenes here at the network. Obviously, it's been almost like if we were a rock band going every night, so-called performing. It's been nonstop coverage, as you guys know, here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So every person at this network, when you text RSBN to 801-801, it's all of their hard work. Every production staff here at the network, and everybody, of course, today on air, but also Nikki Stanzione and Matt Cain, and yesterday Bobby McNeely, Ashley Brassfield, and the list can go on, of course. Christina Loren, Mike Fortin, Paul Ingracia, Titus Ellis Smith, Paula Scanlon, Megan Kohler. I hope I don't forget anybody. Did I say Mike Fortin? So, I mean, and if I missed anybody, you'll be seeing them as well on here on this live coverage as we await President Trump there in Mar-a-Lago, a beautiful estate there in Palm Beach, Florida. As some people have said in the past, the Southern White House. Quite interesting to hear that, but also to know that that is the place where someone that has already done so many great things for this country, not only during the first 4 years of his administration, but even over the past 4 years, it seems as if he is the acting president of this country because he's the people's candidate. And we've seen that time and time again through all of his words and actions. That's what's great about a leader. If he can speak it and then still have it come to pass, that's a great leader. We've heard some great speeches from both Republican and Democrat presidents in the past, but did they do what they said they would do? Well, we know that with President Trump, that's what he has done. He has spoken and things have happened. He spoke and said, if Biden were to win the White House back in the 2020 election cycle, he said if Biden were to win the White House, gas prices would be upwards of $5, $6, $7 a gallon. Then later in some of the campaigning, he talked about how these other countries are not providing us the best people. Some of them are criminals coming right out of prisons and jails and institutions. And then months later, guess what happens? Exactly that starts to hit. The crime starts to happen, the fentanyl, the open border, and the problems that continue on. So again, I know loud and clear that I'm preaching to the choir here to a lot of you, but to keep the truth going and to keep that narrative up against the system, up against the mainstream media's rotten lies that they continue to spread, that disinformation campaign, it's getting old, and I almost feel bad, not really, but I almost feel bad for some of them over there because they're realizing this isn't working anymore. People are waking up, and then they're watching conservative media, and they're saying, well, that's actually common sense, what I just heard from that host or that correspondent on Right Side Broadcasting Network or any of the conservative media out there. Because at the end of the day, I get we're a business, but it's all on the same team of truth and the American way. So it is 3 minutes after the top of the hour, 11 a.m. Eastern time. For those of you waking up out there or already awake on the West Coast, it is 8:03. Matthew Alvarez here as we are awaiting President Trump at Mar-a-Lago to address the press there and also talk about how he's going to fix this broken country. Again, if you're, say you are playing football, as did I back in high school, it was a rainy day. I remember it was a junior varsity game. I was a quarterback rolling right. I broke my right ankle after getting tackled. I threw the ball. It was still a first down catch. I remember that. And man, it snapped in 2 places. I got taken to the hospital. It was very painful to have my foot set after the x-ray, knowing that it was broken. But I went to the hospital. I got the foot fixed. I had to get a screw in my right foot. Well, that's kind of like what our country is dealing with right now. We are fractured, we are hurting, we are broken, and we need a doctor, and we need a doctor quickly. And so President Trump is Dr. Trump, in my opinion. We saw Dr. Phil the other day at MSG. Well, we need Dr. Trump in our country, in this house right now, because we're hurting. And it's scary times for many Americans out there. And we know that he's got the words and the actions, and he also has a team. I was just at the hospital recently. My wife just gave birth, and it's awesome to have a new baby girl. It's great. It's a beautiful thing. I've never experienced that in my entire life, just having a baby. This is just amazing. But that doctor that delivered the baby had a team, and President Trump has a team of great people that are going to help this country go to the right direction. There were some nurses that were perfect for our baby when that baby was born. And so it all worked out. Everything's okay. The baby's healthy and alive and well, and smiled in my face the other day when my wife was holding my daughter. We have to get back to that good feeling of America. And we know that through President Trump, that is what's going to happen in 7 days from now. We have broken bones, figuratively speaking, in this country. And it hurts. And I'll be honest, I'll just straight up say it, it sucks. It's terrible. It's awful. So when we do what we do here at Right Side, this isn't just for our health and just for a job. We're grateful to have all of those things. But we really believe in this country, and we really believe in someone that is going to set the record straight and get it done for our country. If you'd like to follow me on Truth Social, it's at Matthew Alvarez. If you'd like to follow RSBN, it's at RSBN. Right Side Broadcasting Network, since day one, 2015, has been showing the crowds, has been showing President Trump's speeches. We're on the final run of all of these rallies that you guys have seen. How many more rallies would there be? I mean, maybe there would be a thank you tour rally under a President Trump administration, a win on November 5th, and then it being inaugurated. Okay, some more rallies to cover. But the point is, think about all of those rallies that you guys have watched over the years and all of those great moments that we've seen and some terrible moments on J13. But we have literally done this. We've put our heart and our soul and our mind and our body, everything into this thing. And that's what everybody that you don't see here at the network does. That's what you see by all of the traveling by our camera operators, lugging around so many pounds of equipment. This is not a woe is me thing at all. It's just we've put our effort into it, not just our physical body, carrying things and setting up lights and cameras. We've put our entire soul, mind, and heart into this thing, not just for a job. And also, many of us put that into our faith as well. So it's faith and our work. It's faith and our job together to provide you, hopefully, some of the best commentary you've heard and some of the greatest interviews you've heard from we the people. And then on top of that, the main bread and butter, Joe Seals, our CEO, who said, you know what? They're not showing President Trump's speeches. They're not showing the entire crowd. President Trump is saying all of these great things. He's running for president back in 2015. And the mainstream media already knew. They sniffed it. They said, you know what? This Donald Trump guy, he's an outsider. He's bucking the establishment, bucking with a B. And you know what? We need to show the crowd. We need to have the entire speech from start to finish. Let's show the American people what's up. And he did it. And then since then, we've shown how many, almost, I believe, millions of people on camera, millions of people from all of the rallies since 2015 till now into the future. Because the mainstream media, they sniffed something. They said, you know what? He is an outsider, this candidate. And the establishment Democrat leadership probably, as you guys have seen, works with the left-wing media and the mainstream media. And they didn't want to cover any of those details. Not the passion for this country, not the true candidate, the people's candidate. And remember all those videos on YouTube back in the day when all the networks had to announce the next, the commander-in-chief, the 45th president of the United States goes to Donald J. Trump. I'm glad that happened, and I hope to see it again. He shocked the world in 2015. Let's see it happen again. We pray so much, guys. We've been praying. Watch that Prayers for Our Nation show tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as we get ready to show you so many events today here on Right Side. This press conference at Mar-a-Lago, the Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania coverage coming up later today. Then President Trump has a rally tonight in Pennsylvania. So pass this link on to as many friends and family as possible to just watch the next 7 days of coverage, but not just to watch RSBN, to watch the full speech and to hear from the people and to have all of the crowd angles out there when it comes to showing the truth of what's actually happening. For so many years, mainstream media, even before 2015, kept the truth covered, whether that's words of angles of stories or whether that's just visual pictures. They didn't want to show the crowds. They didn't want to show all that support. And they don't even show those videos, as President Trump says, when he's at those various speeches. They don't tilt up the camera and look at what's going on. We do, and I know conservative media does. As we await their live right now, Mar-a-Lago, 10 minutes after, now 11 minutes after 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 days until the election. I'm reading at the bottom of our screen here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. You might have just missed it right before the October popular vote part. There was another part. Is that Sean Hannity right there? That is Sean Hannity with Fox. Is that Alina Habba as well? I believe it is. Here live right now. But previous to what I was saying was the fact that Brett Favre will be at the Green Bay Packers. Let me take that back. I associate him, of course, with Green Bay Packers all the time as a great quarterback for the Packers. But he'll be at the Green Bay rally coming up with President Trump. So the great Green Bay Packer quarterback, Brett Favre, will be joining President Trump at a rally. I hope in Green Bay, if anybody's watching in Wisconsin and you're going to that rally, hopefully we'll see a lot of cheese heads up there, right? A lot of the cheese hats that the Packer fans wear. It'd be fun to see that. Maybe paint it red and have a great time there in Wisconsin. As we see a number of people entering into that room there, a few people on stage right now. So it looks like President Trump will be stepping on stage at any moment, as it is 12 minutes after 11 a.m. We started our coverage at 9 a.m. Eastern and interviewed Silk earlier, and then also interviewed the best-selling author Lee Smith, who recently has a book out that you guys can check out if you'd like to scrub back on this broadcast, or maybe when it replays later on a live replay, if you'd like to check it out on YouTube or Rumble or wherever you watch RSBN. Nikki Stanzione and Matt Cain will be live in Pennsylvania for our coverage a little bit later today. We'll have, again, Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania. President Trump will have remarks there, and then he'll have a huge rally in Allentown. So great coverage to be had here in Pennsylvania coming up. Let's go to some more of the, even though we're taking it day at a time for the next 7 days, of course, with all of the coverage, I can still share with you some of the events that the Trump team has put out there. Rocky Mount, North Carolina is an event tomorrow. That's a rally. And then also the Green Bay, Wisconsin with Brett Favre event is tomorrow at 7 Eastern. But our coverage will be all day, of course. Tomorrow will be President Trump to hold a rally in Green Bay, Wisconsin with Brett Favre. That will be part 2 of our RSBN doubleheader tomorrow, North Carolina and Wisconsin. And then on Thursday, which is Halloween, October 31st, it looks like there may be 3 events that day. As of right now, what I'm seeing is one in New Mexico, one in Nevada. On Friday the 1st, he'll be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. On Saturday the 2nd, in Salem, Virginia. These are all rallies, it looks like. Yeah, every one of these are rallies. And then any other events that come across our desk here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, we'll definitely share with you that information. Thank you so much for watching, wherever you are watching right now. Looking forward to going out there to Matt Cain and Nikki Stanzione a little bit later in the broadcast. You saw, again, Bobby McNeely and Ashley Brassfield just yesterday in the Peach State in Georgia. Quite good coverage there. Always good to see everyone just on the same page when it comes to our country, and seeing President Trump back in Washington, D.C. there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Mar-a-Lago looking beautiful right now as we await President Trump. We saw a few high-profile guests walking in just moments ago. And as President Trump takes that stage, that podium, we'll be going there as well. As it is 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Director, if you could please repeat. Okay, let's go to that. That's a great idea. So Elon Musk, he posted something on X, and then President Trump retruthed it on Truth Social. And if you can't see the words there, I'll just read them to you. Elon said at the top there, it says, "So true," with a laughing face emoji. So the Republican platform: free enterprise, secure borders, honest elections, real journalism, ethical judiciary, civil rights, moral standards, personal liberty, versus the Democrat platform, which is, as you see there, hate Trump. Pretty much that's, I can't think of any other way to describe it. So Elon Musk with a great meme on X, and then President Trump posting that screenshot on Truth Social on his Donald J. Trump, real Donald J. Trump account on Truth Social earlier today as we await President Trump in Mar-a-Lago. And, you know, when it comes down to the common sense truth, it's just nice to see it, because after years of working in mainstream media prior even to President Trump, and then even as conservative media started to grow, I was still in mainstream media back in the day, and the common sense truth, the raw truth of things, were rarely covered or discussed and talked about. And so no wonder countless Americans were duped by all of that terrible mainstream media reporting, from the local news level to the state and regional, and then of course national and international broadcasts. The BBC out in England, in the UK, they're just as bad as CNN and MSNBC. There are many of these outlets out there. 95% of media, 95%, if not more, is or are lying. Left-wing mainstream media talking points that are against we the people, and against the people of the world as well. Sometimes media promotes war. Sometimes media promotes communist ways of thinking and thought, and not covering truth. You should have seen the lower thirds the other day when Donald Trump was speaking at Madison Square Garden on MSNBC and CNN. See, while we're watching, and I was watching right here with you guys, our coverage from Bobby McNeely and Megan Kohler and Harrison Fields out there, and then all those great pre-programmed speakers. But when Donald Trump took the stage, on my laptop right here, I have an account that I can watch, of course, just like any of your streaming accounts. And I watched CNN and MSNBC as I'm watching RSBN. And I looked at the lower thirds, and there's President Trump, and they were all anti-Trump lower thirds. It wasn't just simple truth about President Trump. Speaking of the man, the myth, the legend, as we know, Carly Bonet says on Truth Social, there he is. All right, it's time for us to go live right now to Palm Beach, Florida. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the other side of this remarks and speech in Florida.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump.
such great spirit. I want to start by saying it's going very well. There are some bad spots in Pennsylvania where some serious things have been caught or in the process of being caught, but the election itself is going very well. We're leading, I believe, in all 7 swing states. So I appreciate everybody's work, and the spirit is unbelievable. I don't think there's ever been anything like it in our country's history, frankly, because we want to see our country get better. And that's why we're here, just to do a statement. And it's an honor to have some of our friends here. In less than 4 years, Kamala Harris has obliterated our borders, obliterated. We've never had a situation like this. Decimated the middle class, and runaway inflation has caused problems, the likes of which we never thought possible. Bloodshed, squalor to our cities is common, and they've unleashed a war and chaos all over the world. You take a look, everything's blowing up or getting ready to blow up. No respect for our country anymore, no respect for our leadership. No person has caused so much destruction and death at home and abroad should ever be allowed to be the President of the United States. You can't have that. You can't have that. So I'm running on a plan to save America. We're going to save America. We have no choice. It's the greatest there is. We love it, and we're going to save it. We have no choice. And it's going to be saving it from the incredible destruction that's been caused by crooked Joe Biden and Kamala. And she's responsible because he wasn't responsible, and she never said that. He didn't know too much about what was happening. Maybe that was exposed during the debate. And yet still the way they took that away from him was not right. It wasn't right. It shouldn't have happened that way. They walked in, they said, we're taking it away. They stole the presidency of the United States. You can call it a coup, you can call it whatever, but they stole it. They went in like taking candy from a baby, and can't have that. And she's running on a campaign of demoralization and really a campaign of destruction. But really, perhaps more than anything else, it's a campaign of hate, it's a campaign of absolute hate. And, you know, I said yesterday that she's a vessel. She is a vessel. It's a very big, powerful party with smart people. I have to be smart. But it's vicious. They're vicious, and they're perhaps even trying to destroy our country. Because who would want open borders where millions of people can flow in from prisons and from gangs, the worst gang members anywhere in the world? Who would want this for our country? Who would want all of these transgender operations all over the place, like at will? Even if you're in detention, I want a transgender. These are things she stood for. Who wants to defund the police? She's wanted her whole career to defund the police. She only changed recently. She changed on 15 different items. Fracking. She was against fracking at the highest level. Wouldn't even think about it. Now all of a sudden, oh, I'd like fracking very much. But they change after the election in about 2 minutes, and I think Pennsylvania understands that. After 2 assassination attempts in just over 3 months, her lies and her slanders are very shameful and really inexcusable. And I can say that if I were president and somebody was being threatened, openly threatened like they've threatened me, I would say, if you do that, even if this was an opponent who I disliked, if you do that, we will obliterate your entire country, and it would all stop. But they wouldn't make that statement. They won't make that statement. And essentially that statement has been made by other presidents, even concerning their opponents, as you know. Today we're going to talk about the real character of Kamala, and a person who has no remorse for the anguish she's inflicted upon families all across America, on the contrary, I have to tell you, Kamala intends to conflict and keep this misery going, and she's going to keep it going as long as she can, because that's the only way she can get elected. She's going out and only criticizing, talking about Hitler and Nazi, and because her record's horrible. Her borders are the worst in the history of the world. There's never been a border in the world like this. I always say in third world countries, banana republics, they'd fight them away with sticks and stones if they had to. We let them come in, come on in. Knowing in many cases they're murderers, they're drug lords, they're traitors in so many ways to our country. If they were involved in our country at all, even that, they're coming back in. People that left because they were traitors are coming back in. Everybody's coming back in. And it's at a level that we've never seen before. Criminals off the streets. And you know, other countries from where they're coming are now setting records, good records for them, where crime is down 70 and 75%, because they're taking the criminals off the street. They're emptying their jails into our country. And they're not finished yet. I'm amazed. I thought they would have done it by now, but if you take a look at Venezuela, their crime is way, way, way down. And you go to Caracas and you wouldn't recognize it. You can actually walk the streets without being shot or killed or mugged. It's becoming a safe city because they've taken all their criminals, most of them, the rest are coming. They're all coming. They've taken their drug dealers and they've put them into the United States of America. Thank you very much, Kamala. I appreciate it. But she continues, and she will continue this misery, and her policies have caused such harm and such pain. And the three great people up here with me are going to just discuss that for a little while, about what's happened to them, how their lives have been shattered. I'd like to begin with the story of one mother whose life Kamala has utterly destroyed this life. And we're talking about thousands of people in very similar situations. Every day under Kamala, open border policies. And if you remember, Joe Biden appointed her as the border czar. She doesn't want to use that term, but let's say we'll just use a different term. She was responsible for the borders, totally responsible. She never made one call to Border Patrol. 2 weeks ago, the Border Patrol endorsed me with the most beautiful endorsement I think I've ever gotten. And in all fairness, they've endorsed me every single year, but they've endorsed me again, and they endorsing me, saying I was the best president we've ever had and the best president by far on the border. They said that, and this is not easy for them to say, they said that she was easily the worst person ever to work with them on the border, most incompetent, the least caring. Think of it. Not one call in almost 4 years was made to Border Patrol, like, how are we doing? I used to call all the time. I'd say, how are we doing, fellas? How's it going? Is it going well? And they're great people, men and women, Border Patrol, great people. They want to do their job. She didn't call them once. She released the two men who murdered this woman's very precious daughter. Everything you need to know about what happened, and the character of Kamala Harris, you'll know from just watching this video. We had it done yesterday. It's very, very quick, very easy to do, but it was very heartbreaking. We showed it in a room full of people, and everybody was crying. Some pretty tough people were crying. Please take a look.
Sunday night, I asked her to not stay up super late because of her coming to work with me in the morning to do her summer school. She said, okay. I told her good night and I love you. I went to bed, not realizing that was going to be the last time I saw her.
We're best friends.
Yeah. We're gonna go shake it again.
I woke up to notice she wasn't in her bed. I'm in my heart trying not to lose my mind because I don't know where she is. I finally remembered her phone had a location on, and her phone was pinging just 2 minutes down the road, right behind the skate park. I start driving to the direction the phone was being pinged at, and I see a couple cop cars with lights on. I see yellow tape, and immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach. My daughter's hands and ankles were both bound. She was strangled to death, left with no pants. And I know in my heart, she fought incredibly hard. She was not going down without a fight.
We begin with two men we're learning are charged with capital murder tonight, accused of killing a 12-year-old girl.
Police say these men strangled her before dumping her into that creek. Both men were in the country illegally.
Apprehended, then released by Border Patrol less than 3 weeks before Jocelyn's death. The men accused of killing Jocelyn Nungare are affiliated with the gang known for brutal violence.
Kamala Harris was in charge of immigration in our borders. If we had better border policies and not open borders and not these catch and release policies, I truly believe this all could have been prevented. Under her being vice president of this country, my daughter's life was ripped away from her. She had her entire life ahead of her.
Happy birthday, dear Jocelyn.
My daughter is 6 feet in the ground based off of policies that she allowed to keep. Kamala Harris did have one job, and she not only failed, not me, she failed my daughter. She failed Jocelyn. You know, she was only 12. President Trump reached out, gave me his sincerest condolences as not a former president, but just as a father, someone who cares. I believe Donald Trump needs to be back in office. I can at least know that my next child will be safe in this country.
Thank you very much. So I know we talk about inflation and the economy, but to me, there's nothing more important than the fabric of our country being destroyed by people placed there, violently placed there, as far as I'm concerned, foolishly, stupidly placed there. I think what's happening on the border is the single biggest issue, and I'm seeing it more and more when I speak. I see it more. Inflation's terrible. It's hurting our country. It's just decimating our seniors. That's why I talk about Social Security, no tax for our seniors on Social Security, because they've been decimated by inflation. But what Kamala did to Jocelyn and her family is the most heartless and cold-blooded betrayal imaginable. Thousands of cases just like that, thousands. In throwing open the border, think of it, open borders, they come in from parts unknown. People have no idea who they are, where they're from, anything about them. They know nothing. They just walk into our country. And as soon as I heard they were doing that, I said, well, I know these countries. I know every one of the leaders of all these different countries. They're very smart. They're very sharp. They're very streetwise. I said, I know what they're going to do. They're going to open up their jails and just dump them into the United States. And that's what happened. They opened up their jails. And some of the most ruthless killers in the world are now roaming our fields and our streets all over the United States. I knew that was going to happen, and I would do the same thing if I were running one of those many countries that we're talking about, and not just the 3 or 4 that we constantly mention that are near us, all over South America, all over the Middle East, all over Asia, all over Europe, all over Africa. Tremendous numbers of people are coming out of Africa. And they're coming from all over the world. They're dumping them at our border, pushing them across the line, and say, don't ever come back. If you come back, we're going to kill you. And we're stuck with them. But we're not going to be stuck with them for long. So Kamala violated her oath. She desecrated our laws, and she got innocent girls like Jocelyn tortured and killed. Anyone who knowingly sets loose these monsters into our country has absolutely no right to be running for office, let alone the office of president. No right. So here today is another great person, an American mom, Tammy Nobles. 2 years ago, Tammy's 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, who had an autism diagnosis, was found raped, tied up and strangled to death with a telephone cord in her home. Kayla's murderer was an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member, among the most vicious gangs anywhere in the world. I took him out by the thousands thanks to ICE. We're going to protect ICE. Kamala wanted to defund ICE. If we didn't have ICE, we'd never get anybody out. They're tough and they're smart and they love our country. But an MS-13 gang member who was apprehended by Border Patrol, but under the policy of our border czar, Kamala, he was released into the United States to kill. Tammy, please come up and say a few words, please. Thank you. Please.
I just wanted to say that Homeland Security did not do their job. Health and Human Services did not do their job. The Biden-Harris administration did not do their job. If they would have done their job, made that one phone call to El Salvador, my daughter would still be alive today. Kayla was a very beautiful young lady inside and out. She was independent, learning to become independent. She had 2 jobs. She overcame obstacles dealing, with autism and was able to find a job that she loved. She loved animals, especially her cat Oreo, and she cared about the homeless. She loved God and she loved going to church. And her life was just ripped from her 3 days after she celebrated her 20th birthday. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Tammy. And we will not forget Kayla. And she's looking down. She's very proud of Mom. Kamala's cruel and immoral actions on our border are actually disqualifying, in my opinion. She's unfit. She's an unfit person. And she knows this is going on. She never called anybody, including the 13 soldiers that were so needlessly killed in Afghanistan with that horrible moment in time where our country was just lost all respect from the whole world when they saw that. That's one of the reasons that Putin went in. He would have never gone in. Ever he wouldn't have gone in. If I were president, he would have never gone in. I ended his pipeline in Europe, no problem. And what happened? Biden comes in, he proves it right away, but he kills the Keystone Pipeline. Putin never would have come in. And he didn't, by the way, for 4 years. There was never a threat that he was going to do that. But he saw weakness, and I think a lot of it was seen in that horrible period of time. She is also aiding and abetting the cartels, allowing vast quantities of deadly drugs to pour unchecked into our country. And remember this, they now have an app. You call the app and you bring whatever you want, you bring them over, they'll tell you exactly. Can you believe it? They have an app. And they have airplanes, big, beautiful Boeing airplanes flying back and forth over our border. They were saying, where are those planes coming from? Where are they going? They were loaded up with migrants. They're dropping them out in the Midwest. They're dropping them all over the place. And I will tell you, if you look at Aurora in Colorado or in Springfield in Ohio they dropped 32,000 illegal aliens. They tried to give them legal terminology, but it's not. Illegal aliens, 32,000 into a 50,000 person town, beautiful town, no problems. And now they don't know what to do. And they want to be nice, and the mayor wants to be nice. his big thing is to get interpreters because they don't speak English. It's very hard to get interpreters. And he's trying to get interpreters. But in the meantime, they're taking up the hospital. So when people from Springfield would routinely be able to check with a doctor, go to a hospital, they're unable to get in, they're packed. The whole town has changed. And this is happening all over our country. Aurora probably is an even worse situation because you have the meanest, worst gang from Venezuela in the world, probably, maybe as bad or worse than MS-13. And they've literally taken over the town. They've taken over large sections of the town. They've gone into the real estate business. They've taken over apartment complex. They took over a number of complexes where the people are paying them rent. They've become the landlord. Isn't that nice? And they're rough, tough people, and they have the latest weapons. They have military-quality weapons, and everyone's saying, where did they get them? We got to get them out of here. We're going to get them out fast. We're going to get them out fast. So today, I'm announcing that for the first time under my administration, we will be seizing the assets of the criminal gangs and drug cartels. And we will use those assets to create a compensation fund to provide restitution for the victims of migrant crime, and the government will help in the restoration. The government will help in the restitution, but something has to be done, and we're going to get it done. Kamala has also caused untold misery through her destruction of our economy. Our economy is not. This is just. It's like a fake economy. Some of the best people on Wall Street are saying the economy is only good because they think, I don't want to say this because other people have said it. It's not me saying it, but they think Trump is going to get elected. That's the only reason our economy is good. That's the only reason the stock market is up. Scott is here, I think, someplace, and he's one of the most respected people on Wall Street. He's actually made a very big point of it, that the stock market is only doing well because of the fact that they think Trump is going to win the election. So we'll see. But Kamala cast the deciding votes that caused the worst inflation in our lifetime, maybe the worst inflation we've ever had, because I don't think I know for a fact they're not adding all of the numbers. If they did, I think it's the worst inflation probably in the lifetime of the country. And it's costing typical American families over $30,000. Nearly half of Americans now say they're broke. Think of that. Half of Americans are saying they're broke. They have no money. 2/3 say they're living from paycheck to paycheck, and that's a record. We've never had that. To that extent, we've never, ever had that. Millions of Americans are lying awake at night worried about how they'll pay their bills because Kamala wrecked their family finances, and she's done that. She's done nothing good. They have done nothing good. And I speak of Kamala, but it's partially Joe, but Joe's out of it, Joe's sort of out of it. He's been out of it for a long time. Now she wants to raise taxes for the typical family by $3,000 a year. She's got no empathy for the hardworking Americans whose dreams she's killed, and said recently that there is not one thing that she would do differently from Biden. That's only because she choked. I'm sure she could have come up with a couple of things if she really thought about it, because there's been so much destruction caused by the Biden administration. One of the things that people don't talk about, and the news never talks about, they don't talk about, as an example, Afghanistan, but this is something that's incredible, because when you think of the numbers, 325,000 children are missing, dead, sex slaves, or slaves. 325,000 children who came in through the open border are now missing. Many of them are dead, and nobody talks about it. I said, this must be a mistake. This can't be possible. When I read it, I said, this can't be. You're talking about take your largest stadium and fill it up many times. That's what the kind of numbers are. Here today is Michael Copy, a small business owner who runs a dry cleaner and is struggling to get by because of what Kamala has done to his business. They've destroyed small businesses in this country. Michael, please.
The opportunity and the high honor of joining you here today and sharing my small business story with you folks and the American people. So it's a chain of eco-friendly dry cleaners throughout the Tri-County here in West Palm. And it seems not too long ago, just a few years, the customer and us, the small business owner, we were able to keep up with inflation. There were resources available to us for expansion, or if you had a bad month, you know, if there was something you needed to make up for, it seemed like the support was there. And now, just a few short years later, it seems like all of those resources have dried up. The support's no longer there. We had an expansion plan about 6 years ago that we had to pause because we have to wait for our customers now to catch up with the inflation, the supply chain issues still, because we as a small business, we can't double our price points, although the cost of doing business now is 2, 3, or 4 times what it was just a few years ago. So we've had to get creative. Our industry, probably 30% in the dry cleaning industry, never survived COVID. And just recently this summer, I was contacted, my wife and I, by another local dry cleaner here in West Palm. They were asking advice. So husband and wife been there for about 35 years. Their lease was up, and the landlord was doubling their rent, which would have meant that that's what they've been paying themselves for probably the better part of 20 years. So they had to make a decision. Do they hand the keys back, or do we get creative, work together, pool resources? And so what we did was we figured out the right price point for them, but we did their cleaning for them, at least until we figured it out. And so they were not able to pay their operations. They couldn't keep that going, but they were able to save their business by strategically partnering. And by the end of summer, I think I was contacted by about 12 other local dry cleaners saying, can you guys help us also, because we're going through the same thing. Thank you. And it seems now, so the delta between the reality of what inflation is right now and we have in front of us, the reality of that and the small business owners' capabilities, that delta is too great. So unless we effect change immediately, I fear that in the next few years, if we don't see that change, we might see another 30% of our industry and others no longer exist. So I just want to say thank you again, Mr. President, for allowing me to share my Go Green Dry Cleaners story, and thank you.
Thank you very much. We really helped a lot of people during the prime time of the China virus, and we helped a lot of people, and we did it intelligently. Then when they took over, they just threw money around like it was dirt. And as you know, the recent monster hurricane, Helene, just wiped out so much. If you look at the different states, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, it was just devastating. And the response was the worst since Katrina, but really a lot of people think it was much worse than Katrina. It's still, they haven't shown up. They're not in North Carolina. The people of North Carolina have suffered incredibly, and there's just nobody to help them. FEMA has been a total disaster. We had FEMA that was fantastic when we did this, because we had our hurricanes too. We had some bad ones, but we did a great job with it. It's not there. And then you see that they, originally blamed, and then they tried to take it back, but it was a little late. But they said that the money was spent on bringing illegal migrants into our country. They spent close to $1 billion, and these were funds that were spent. And you have to say, I was in North Carolina recently, and I looked at devastation that was just, unbelievable. There was nobody there from the federal government. The local people have done incredible things. Franklin Graham has done incredible things. He's been amazing. But there was nobody there. So we're pleased also to be joined by Christy Shamblin, person I know and I've gotten to know over the last year or so, the mother-in-law of fallen Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole G. Nicole made the ultimate sacrifice during the disastrous withdrawal. Not that we were withdrawing. I was going to withdraw, but we were withdrawing with dignity and strength and power, and we were going to keep Bagram, the big air base, because of the fact that it was so close to where China makes their nuclear weapons. 1 hour away. We should have kept it, and we didn't do that. But the way they withdrew, they took the soldiers out first. No, you take the soldiers out last. I went 18 months without one soldier. I spoke to Abdul, the leader of the Taliban. We went 18 months without one soldier even being shot at. No soldier being killed for 18 months. And then we left, and you had this group of incompetent people take over. Guys like Milley should have been fired. They should have been fired. Anybody that was involved with that disaster should have been fired. She was one of 13 U.S. service members who lost their lives. Kamala said she was the last person in the room, that Kamala was the last person in the room. She was involved in everything. She takes credit for that. She was involved in everything. That means she was involved in disaster after disaster, because nothing good has happened with this administration, except that our country has gone to almost a third world status. With Biden, when Biden made a decision, she said she was there. Oh, she was there. But the Afghanistan decision was a disaster in so many different ways. And now you take a look at it, they're right back to what they were doing before, except much worse to women. They're worse to women right now than they were even before it started. But Kamala never reached out to the family members of the warriors. And she said she was going to, but she never did. She never called anybody. And Christy, I'd like you to come up and say a few words, please.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Christy Shamblin, and my daughter-in-law was Sergeant Nicole Leanne G., and she was killed in the botched Afghanistan exit at Abbey Gate. She was the cornerstone of a very large family. And instead of planning family gatherings and holiday meals and Christmases and baby showers, our family and thousands of other families plan outings at funeral grave sites, and that is where we as a family celebrate my daughter-in-law at Arlington National Cemetery, because she is in the ground. Her story isn't unique to our family, she's just ours. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of wounded veterans who came home from that war, who need our help and who are ignored by our current administration. President Trump demonstrates peace through strength. I know what he told the Taliban when he was negotiating with them, because I've made it my business to know. And what he said to them when he was negotiating with the Taliban, he said, "I will kill you if you harm one hair on one head of an American." President Trump shows up, he reaches out, and he can fix our country, and we can all heal together.
Thank you very much. It's so sad. So many cases like this. Nobody should have died. First of all, when they left, the soldiers should have been there. They shouldn't have been home watching, except for a small group, and many of them got killed, and large numbers. Nobody ever mentions the arms, the legs missing, gone, the face just obliterated. Nobody talks about them. I talk about them all the time. But I want to thank you, Christy, and we'll carry Nicole's memory in our hearts forever. The full consequences of Kamala's 4-year reign are almost too terrible to discuss or contemplate. We're coming to the end of a Great campaign. I think we've had a great campaign. We've really not been provided the kind of protection that I needed as president, but I said we have to do it anyway. When Secret Service would ask for additional people, oftentimes we would be turned down. They were constantly asking for additional people. And I found Secret Service to be very brave. When I was hit and went down, they were right on top of me within seconds. I tell you what, those bullets were flying right over my head. I heard them. And these guys were right. I don't know how they didn't get hit, actually, but they were right there. You take a look at the video. One thing you would say, the video is there for people to see, but they were never given the kind of help that they requested, because our rallies were massively large and they needed more people, and they were always fighting for more people, and it was never given to them. Now they're being given, I hope, what they need, but we were, that was a constant fight. They'd come to me and they'd say, you guys don't want to give us the people. And yet Biden was covered and they'd have like 2 people show up. But Kamala is grossly incompetent, a total train wreck who has destroyed everything in her path. She's destroyed everything. She left 21 million aliens pour across our country, and then she, maybe in a short while, has to go home and she'll get herself a job someplace, who knows. But think about it, and she can look at the carnage, and she can look at all the people that have been killed. And you haven't seen anything yet, because they've just started. They're just getting comfortable in our country. These are very tough people. These criminals make our criminals look like nice people. And she let the more than 13,000 convicted illegal aliens, nobody would have let these people into our country. And remember, they came out of the worst prisons in the world, the meanest, nastiest prisons in the world. And when she says that she wouldn't do anything different, does that mean that she would have let 325,000 migrant children probably die, most of them, many of them, but at a minimum they're slaves or they're sex slaves, and they're all over the country? Does that mean that she wouldn't have changed that? Does that mean that she wouldn't have changed so many of the other things that led to so much death and destruction and even financial destruction of our country itself? We could end up in a depression because of what she's left with us. They are the worst combination, president, vice president, in the history of our country. And I often say Jimmy Carter's a happy man, because his administration, by comparison, was totally brilliant. It was brilliant. After Kamala endorsed defunding the police, she bailed out rioters, looters, and murderers, took them right out of jail during the violent crimes in the United States. Remember, that was in Minnesota. Minneapolis was burning down. It was burning to the ground. I watched the CNN announcer say, "This is a friendly group of people." And over his shoulder, the entire skyline was burning. I've never seen it, but that's the fake news. But violent crime in the United States is up 37%. All of these different crimes are up anywhere from 37 to 105% over a very short period of time. And it's almost like nobody even cares about it. Very simply, Kamala Harris is not fit to be your president. We can't have it happen. We can't have it happen. We're going to make this country strong again. We're going to make it great again. We're going to be respected again. Her message has been a message of hate and division, and my message is about saving our economy, securing our border, bringing together the greatest and broadest coalition in American history. There's never been a coalition like this. Everybody's included. And on issue after issue, she broke it. They broke it together. But for purposes of this election, she broke it. Can't let her go. And I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to fix it very fast. And on the illegal, thank you very much. Thank you very much. On the illegal immigrants that will be taken out of the country, as you know, we're going to be taking them out. And if they come back, we have laws that will be immediately enacted where they serve 10 years in prison. They won't come back. And if that's not long enough, we'll have to do something else. But we don't want them back. They're not going to come back. And as you know, we're asking for the death penalty for any migrant who comes into our country and kills an American citizen or a police or law enforcement person. Because we have to protect our police. Our police are under siege also at numbers that nobody thought were possible, the worst they've ever seen. It's very hard to recruit. And really for not just the danger, it's hard to recruit because they don't have the spirit anymore for our country because they're being led with people that are spiritless. They really are spiritless. They can't instill spirit. But so that's any citizen, they get killed, it's the death penalty, and that includes police or law enforcement officers. But we're going to revive our economy. We're going to use a system of very fair, very reasonable tariffs. As I said, so powerful. We've never used them. I used them. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars, and no other president's gotten 10 cents from China. China had a free ride, but so did many other countries. European Union is taking advantage of us. They don't take our product, and yet we take their product all over the place. We take their farming product. We take their cars left and right, right? BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, millions and millions. They don't take our cars. I said to Angela Merkel at the time, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in Berlin? Why? I don't believe you have any. I said, you're right about that, Angela. Well, we're going to change it. But they don't take our product. We have a deficit with them of over $300 billion. Think of that. And people think of them as friendly, but they're very tough and very, very fair. I mean, look, they united in order to take advantage of the United States. That's why they united. That's why they formed their coalition. And that was done to take advantage of the United States. So we know how to take advantage of them. We're going to take it back. We're going to take it all back. Those countries, many of those companies will be coming back. They'll be coming back because when they're told that they're going to have to pay a 25% tariff or 50% or 100%, we saved our steel industry when I imposed large tariffs on China steel coming in. They were dumping steel here by millions and millions and millions of yards of steel like nobody's ever seen. Our steel businesses were going out of business. We can't lose our steel industry. If for no other reason, our own security. So we need steel. If we go to war, we're not going to go to war. We're not going to have World War III. But if we ever go to war, you better hope that we have a steel industry, or those beautiful tanks and everything else that we need to make won't be made. The planes, the tanks, the whole thing. And I saved it by imposing tariffs. They were dumping it. I think they were dumping it in order to destroy. Every steel plant would have been closed if I didn't do what I did. And we happen to be taking in, billions of dollars. In fact, it's so good that Biden has been trying his best to end it, but he's unable to do it. Too much money. It's been too much money. They're paying a fortune. But I would have had it a lot different. And we'll get along with China. We'll get along with Russia. We'll get along with everybody. We had the fake Russia hoax, which took 2 years. And then they came out with a report that we did absolutely nothing wrong. And that was a stacked deck, too. The people doing it, they couldn't say there was nothing. We had nothing. They checked millions of phone calls, not one call made to Russia, not one call. It was a terrible thing they did to the country, and actually put us in a lot of danger, to be honest with you. If I didn't have somewhat of a relationship with Russia and Putin and all, we had to have it. And by the way, getting along with President Xi and Putin and Kim Jong-un of North Korea. If you remember when I met with Obama, his wife was very nasty to me the other day. Oh, that was not nice. She was very nasty. She said nasty things. I was always very respectful of her, but she got up there, which shows you how nervous they are about what's happening. But she was nasty 2 days ago. She got up and said some bad things she shouldn't have said. They were wrong, too. But we're going to turn our country around, and And we're going to pay a lot of respect to the three representatives, because that's what they are. They're representatives of millions of people. I mean, the businesses, so many businesses are just dying right now. That millions and millions of people, they're representative of, and our wounded and our hurt soldiers, we have to take care of them. They came back from Afghanistan. Boy, nobody talks about them. They just don't talk about them, but I talk about them, and we're going to take care of them. You know, we had the greatest success with the VA, the Veterans Administration. We had a 92% approval rating. We got it so they had choice, because they were waiting 4 or 5, 6. They were waiting 4 or 5, 6 months, 7 months to see a doctor. And I came in and I got, with the help of some of the great Congress people that are here, we have some great ones. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We've got quite a few of them. And I didn't even tell them to be here. They want to be here because they know exactly. Oh, yes, very good. We have one of the greats. But they wanted to be here. A lot of people wanted. I didn't tell anybody to be here, actually. But they wanted to be. But we have to take care of our military. Think of this. Soldiers who are waiting 6 months to see a doctor. Can you imagine yourself, you don't feel good. You could be cured with a pill or with a shot or with something very minor, like a minor operation, and after 6 months you're now terminally ill. So I made it, and they've been trying to do this for 48 years. I made it, we call it choice, like school choice, which is also a very good thing, by the way. But we call it choice, where you have your choice. You go to a doctor. If you have to wait more than 1 day, you go outside, you get a doctor, you get yourself fixed up, and we pay the bill. And it's been unbelievable. I heard just the other day for the first time that Kamala and Biden are trying to destroy that. They're trying to make it so that you have to wait for 6 months again, back to where it was. We had a 92% approval rating, and now if they go back to that, you were going to have. I did another thing. You weren't able to get, because of civil service, you weren't able to get fire people. If somebody was a degenerate, if somebody was terrible, if they treated our heroes badly, we want them fired. We want them fired immediately. But we were unable to get them fired because they were protected by unions and by civil service. And I had it passed in Congress, which people have also been trying to get. And we were able to fire 9,000 people out of the VA and replace them with people that love our heroes, as opposed to sadists. We had sadists. We had sick people. We had sadists in there that really harmed our great people, our great veterans, and we were able to get rid of them. We got them out, and we replaced them with people that can love and take care of these wonderful people that served us so well. So we did good. We had a 92% approval rating. They've been in the 40s and the 30s, and now it's heading back in that direction, I'm afraid. I hear they want to dismantle everything. And it's almost like you'd say, why? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? And yet they'll spend, you can't say money, because they give away hundreds of billions of dollars to anybody that needs it, but they won't take care of our veterans. They won't take care of our people. They won't take care of our soldiers. They won't take care of our elderly. They won't take care of anybody, but they give every time certain people come to town. They walk away with $100 billion for countries that many people have never even heard of. So I just want to tell you, this is a campaign that's been long and hard. I've been on the road or campaigning for 58 straight days. I haven't taken a day off. I'm proud of that. And I won't be taking one off. We have 7 days to go. You can be sure I won't be. And do many, many things every year. And I just want to end by, I've watched their commercials, and they're really fraudulent. They'll say, he doesn't want to frack. I've wanted to frack always. They'll say, everything exactly the opposite. Oh, I want to destroy Social Security. No, they're going to destroy. I'm the one that saved it. And for 4 years, we made it even better. I'm the one, and I didn't raise ages. I didn't do the things that they're going to do, because they're allowing millions of these people to go onto Social Security, Medicare. They're going to destroy it. She's going to destroy the whole country, because it's not sustainable by any country. But the ads and the statements that they make are exactly the opposite. they will say, oh, I'm going to raise taxes. He's going to raise taxes. Just the opposite. I'm going to lower taxes, and I have done that, but I'm going to lower taxes, and she's raising taxes by 30, 40, and 50%. But they'll have a commercial. And I just say this to you because I hope people understand. These people lie. They lie. They're very disingenuous. And we are going to finish up our campaign. And it's interesting because I haven't taken any time off for a long time. I tell you who can tell you about that, all the people that follow us, including the people in the campaign, but including Secret Service, who has been working very, very hard. I will tell you, they've really been working very hard. And yet a couple of days ago, she took off, and then she took off again and again and again. I say, how many times? You know, you're running for president of the United States. You had, like, at that time, about 20 days left. How the hell do you take off, right? You got to work. You got to work. So she says her teleprompter broke. Yeah, well, she better hope it doesn't. You know, they break. And if you don't know how to do it without a teleprompter, you got a problem. And she doesn't know how to do it without a teleprompter. So I just wish they'd stop lying, because the lies are vicious, and probably some people believe them. But the good news is 7 states, Republicans never lead in the early voting because for whatever reason, it's habit or it's a certain security they feel in going to the booth. They believe in principle. But we never lead in. I don't know if we've ever led in early. Every single state we're leading in. Every single state. At an early. And we don't need all of them, but at it early. And some states are in play that nobody thought would ever be in play. But I think people are seeing, because, again, we're the party of common sense. We're the party of common sense. And we want to have strong borders. We want to have great elections. We want to have fairness. We don't do things like, we're not going to have men playing in women's sports. I mean, that's okay. So we're the party of common sense, and we're the party of fairness, and we have a coalition. Nobody's ever seen anything like, I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like what happened the other night at Madison Square Garden. The love in that room. It was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were unable to get in. But politicians that have been doing this for a long time, 30 and 40 years, said there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved. And hopefully, you know, they started to say, well, in 1939, the Nazis used Madison Square Garden. Well, and you know what? But can you imagine it? In 1939, the Nazi, they would. But how terrible to say, right? Because, you know, they've used Madison Square Garden many times. Many people have used it, but nobody's ever had a crowd like that. And I tell you what, right now, nobody's ever had love like that. That was love in the room, and it was love for our country. It was really love for our country. So we're going to fight like hell for the next 7 days, and then hopefully... And then hopefully, and most importantly, we're going to be fighting even harder for the next 4 years, because we're going to turn this around and we're going to make this country greater than it has ever been. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.